Lin Mu's eyes flew wide open as he roused from unconsciousness, staring blankly at everything surrounding him. Where the hell have I been dragged to? This was no longer the four-person dormitory at his university, but the carriage of an old, moving train. Rows of seats lined both sides of the compartment, laid out much like those on a subway. Apart from that, 3 people lay sprawled across the floor. 3 young women, all fully unconscious. Lin Mu stood up, stepped closer to one of them for a look, and froze on the spot. He knew this woman. Or rather, the entire country knew her. Su Qingli, a top-tier A-list celebrity in the entertainment industry. She had debuted at 16 and starred in over a dozen ancient Xianxia dramas in 5 years. Blessed with an ethereal, icy beauty, she was hailed as the nation's fairy, Fairy Qingli, and Fairy Su. Lin Mu's roommate Zhang was her die-hard fan. His desk was plastered with her posters, and he looped her hit drama Moon over Chang'an non-stop in the dorm every single day. And right now, the so-called nation's fairy lay less than a meter away from Lin Mu. She wore an elegant plain white ancient-style robe, as if she'd been snatched straight off a filming set. Lin Mu took a deep breath, forcing his gaze away from Su Qingli's face to turn toward the second girl. Once again, he was stunned. He knew her too. Wen Wantong. Clad in a white blouse paired with a black pencil skirt, she was a lecturer from his university's School of Liberal Arts, who had taught his ancient literature course the previous semester. Lin Mu still remembered that Professor Wen's lectures were always packed to the rafters. Famous across Yunzhou University for her stunning looks, countless students who weren't even enrolled in her class would sneak in just to catch a glimpse of her. A world-famous superstar, and his own breathtaking university lecturer. How on earth had they ended up together here? He turned to the third girl next. Great, another familiar face. Chen Lu, a freshman at Yunzhou University. She was a JK girl in a pleated skirt. Only a month into her first semester, she'd already been crowned the campus's new beauty on the school forum. Her line of suitors stretched all the way from the library gates to the school entrance. Lin Mu was a third-year student, Chen Lu a first-year. They'd crossed paths a handful of times, but barely spoken. He only remembered her because she was strikingly beautiful and incredibly popular. He had zero confidence that she could recall who he was, though. As Lin Mu observed the 3 women, all of them stirred at almost the exact same time. Chen Lu woke first. She blinked dazedly, jolting upright, so fast her twin ponytails nearly whipped Lin Mu in the face. Where's this place? Panicked, she slammed her back hard against the bench with a dull thud. The jolt cleared her head somewhat. She clutched her lower back, wincing in pain, then laid eyes on Lin Mu. You? Chen Lu stared at him wide-eyed. He looked familiar, yet she couldn't place his name. Who are you? Moments later, when Wantong roused as well, her reaction was far calmer. She rose, adjusted her glasses, and slowly scanned every corner of the carriage before her gaze landed on Lin Mu. You're Lin Mu, aren't you? There was a hint of uncertainty in her tone. Good morning, Professor Wen. That's me. Lin Mu nodded. Then Su Qingli regained consciousness. At the same moment, Chen Lu's gaze snapped over to her. The next second, a shrill scream split the air. Su Qingli. It's you, Su Qingli. The actress from Moon over Chang'an. Oh my god, it's really you. Am I dreaming? Let me pinch myself. Ow, that hurts. This isn't a dream at all. Su Qingli was clearly used to this kind of fan reaction. She merely gave a slight nod and politely said, hello. Chen Lu paid no mind to her cool demeanor, spinning around on the spot in wild excitement. I can't believe I'm this close to Fairy Qingli. I need to post this to my moments. Wait, where's my phone? It's gone. She patted every pocket all over her body, finding nothing. Lin Mu instinctively patted his own pockets too. They were equally empty. Just then, an emotionless mechanical voice echoed through the carriage. Welcome to the multiverse train survival game. This game randomly selects 100 million people from Earth, distributing them onto separate trains based on regional origin. The train will stop at one station every day and issue missions. Do whatever it takes to survive. A survival game? What does that mean? Survive how? Chen Lu froze mid-search for her phone, her voice trembling. No one answered her. When Wantong knitted her brackets, pushing her glasses up her nose as she forced herself to stay composed. Regional distribution rule. That means we were assigned to this train because we live geographically close to one another. She glanced at Lin Mu and Chen Lu. Chen Lu and I both attend Yunzhou University in the University Town District. But what about Miss Su? I've been filming at Yunzhou Film Studio these past 2 days. It's less than 3 kilometers from the university town. Su Qingli's expression remained icy, her tone flat, as if speaking of something unrelated to herself. That's right. I saw behind-the-scenes photos online saying Moon over Chang'an 2 was filming at Yunzhou Studio. I didn't realize it was true. Chen Lu blinked, suddenly realizing everything. Su Qingli gave a faint nod and said nothing more. At first she'd suspected her agent had secretly signed her up for some bizarre variety show. But staring at the unbroken black smog shrouding the windows and everything else around her, she knew she'd truly been dragged into some supernatural incident. Distracted from her panic, Chen Lu calmed down a little. She glanced left and right, her big watery eyes landing back on Lin Mu. Senior, You've got to protect me. First tell me my name. Linmu shot her a glance. Of course I know your name. It's, what was the senior's name again? Chen Lu's mind raced, yet drew a complete blank. Professor Wen had called Linmu's name only moments ago, but Chen Lu had been so fixated on Su Qingli, she hadn't paid any attention. She'd been surrounded by boys her entire life. Memorizing every single one's name would be exhausting. To Chen Lu, boys' names were never worth the effort to remember. She couldn't even recall most of her suitors' names, let alone a vaguely familiar senior like Linmu. Chen Lu looked awkwardly toward Wen Wantong for help. His name is Linmu. She's only just started her first year. She hasn't gotten to know everyone yet. A gentle look of apology crossed Wen Wantong's soft features as she stepped in to rescue Chen Lu. Linmu smiled to show he didn't mind. He was just an ordinary student with nothing outstanding about him. It was only natural the campus beauty wouldn't remember him. He'd find it far stranger if she had. Right then, a glowing light screen lit up at the far end of the carriage. Text flashed across its surface, and the mechanical voice spoke once more. Initial resource draw phase activated. Each player may draw once. Drawable rewards include props, equipment, skills, stat cards, and consumables. Players may negotiate amongst yourselves to decide the drawing order. A lucky draw? Chen Lu instantly perked back up, her eyes sparkling. I'm great at lucky draws. My luck's amazing. She skipped over to the light screen, glancing back at the other three, brimming with anticipation. When Wantong gestured for her to go first, Su Qingli made no move to cut in line, and Linmu couldn't have cared less who drew first. I'll go then. Chen Lu pressed her palm against the screen, which instantly wrapped her entire hand in pale blue light. A rapidly spinning pattern appeared at the screen's center, rotating too fast to make out any details. After several seconds, the light faded. A card with soft, subdued luminescence materialized out of thin air in Chen Lu's grasp. The front was etched with a human-shaped rune, while the back bore descriptive text. A stat card? It lets me add one basic attribute point. Chen Lu wore a proud expression, as if to say, aren't I awesome? When Wantong shook her head with a gentle smile and turned to Su Qingli. Miss Su, would you like to go next? Very well. Su Qingli didn't hesitate, stepping forward and pressing her palm to the screen. Blue light snaked up her arm, her ancient robes and long hair billowing in an invisible current of energy. Bathed in the glow, she looked as though she'd stepped straight out of a Xinxia drama. Chen Lu stared at her in starry-eyed admiration. When the light faded, even Su Qingli's cold expression flickered for a split second with surprise. It's a skill, she said quietly. What skill? Can I see, Sister Su? Chen Lu had already casually begun calling her sister. Su Qingli hesitated briefly before sweeping a hand through the air to pull up her status panel for them all to see. Name, Su Qingli. Strength, 6 agility, 7 constitution, 8 spirit, 12 talent, none. Skill. When here see rank scouting skill. Identical skills may stack to upgrade to B rank. Current upgrade progress, January 5th. Skill description. Use wind currents to scout, sensing living creatures and their general locations within a 100-meter radius. A scouting skill. Chen Lu cheered. That's incredible. Now we'll know if danger's nearby ahead of time. No more sneak attacks. Her joy was utterly genuine, as if she'd drawn the skill herself. When Wantong wore a relieved smile too. It's an extremely practical skill. In a place like this, information is survival. Su Qingli nodded faintly, dismissing her status panel and stepping aside. I'll go next. When Wantong took a deep breath and walked forward, the screen flickered. A full crate of 12 mineral water bottles materialized out of nowhere at her feet. Her face stiffened slightly. Water. Chen Lu leaned over to peek, showing no disappointment. Instead, her eyes lit up. Water's perfect. I'm so thirsty right now, Professor Wen. Can I have one? Seeing Chen Lu's eager gaze, the faint twinge of letdown when Wantong had felt melted away. Her draw wasn't anything rare, but water was an essential survival supply, far better than getting nothing at all. Here you go. When Wantong smiled, pulling one bottle out and handing it to her. You're the best, Professor Wen. When Wantong smiled, shifting her gaze to Linmu. Linmu, it's your turn. All 3 pairs of eyes locked onto him at once. Linmu walked over to the light screen, feeling uneasy. The 3 before him had each gotten something decent. A stat card, a scouting skill, a crate of drinking water. It would be utterly embarrassing if he ended up drawing something trivial like a lollipop. The moment his palm touched the screen, a strange sensation washed over his skin. It wasn't cold metal or warm glass. It felt as though his hand was wrapped in something soft. The screen's hue began to shift. Pale blue deepened to navy. Navy blushed purple. Then purple erupted into blazing gold, finally blooming into a full spectrum of rainbow light. A voice echoed directly inside Linmu's head. Congratulations on obtaining SSS rank talent. Favor critical hit. Talent. Favor critical hit SSS rank. Talent description. Trigger critical hits when in physical contact with bond targets. The minimum critical hit multiplier is 1, and the maximum multiplier equals the bond target's favor value toward the talent bearer. Critical hit application. opening treasure chests, looting items, earning experience points, and more. Each bond target grants one guaranteed maximum favor critical hit multiplier per day. All other critical hit multipliers are randomized. Detected. All current train passengers besides the talent bearer are female. The talent has automatically bonded all women aboard this train as bond targets. This talent is permanently bound to this train. From this moment onward, all new passengers boarding this train must be female. At the same time, a new line of data silently appeared on the carriage's front light screen. Bond target favor values: Su Qingli, 0 Wen Wantong, 30 Chen Lu, 10. Lin Mu stared at his status panel, his mind racing to process everything. Each bond target offered one guaranteed max multiplier daily. Take Professor Wen for example. Touching her would let him land 1x30 critical hit per day, with all other hits random between 1 and 30 times the reward. The three girls couldn't see Lin Mu's personal talent panel, but they'd clearly spotted the favor value numbers on the public screen. They exchanged confused glances. Favor values? Chen Lu pointed at the screen, baffled. What's this supposed to mean? Is this how much we like Senior Lin? Wait, why am I only at 10? More importantly, why is this even displayed for everyone to see? Wen Wantong kept her composure. 30 was neither high nor low, simply the natural amount of regard a teacher held for a decent student. Still, having such private inner feelings laid bare for everyone to read was undeniably awkward. Su Qingli stared at the large 0 beside her name, shooting Lin Mu an impassive glance that clearly warned, don't get any ridiculous ideas. Trapped beneath three gazes carrying wildly different meanings, Lin Mu felt as though he was roasting over an open fire. He scratched the back of his head and sighed helplessly, pulling up his own talent panel to show all three of them. See for yourselves. Chen Lu was the first to react once she read Lin Mu's talent description. Critical hits from physical contact, chests, loot, experience all get multiplied. We've hit the jackpot. She paced excitedly back and forth across the carriage, mentally calculating just how powerful this ability was for their group. When Wantong pushed up her glasses, scanning the talent panel carefully, her eyes growing brighter by the second. It requires physical contact to activate, but from a team perspective for this entire train, this talent is strategically invaluable. Treasure chests, loot, experience points, it covers nearly every possible way to gather survival resources. And while Lin Mu holds the talent, the whole train reaps the rewards. If we use it properly, every single one of us will maximize our resource gains. Chen Lu nodded rapidly, fully agreeing with her professor. Su Qingli, who'd sat quietly on the bench this whole time, spoke up at last. It can grow stronger over time. When Wantong and Chen Lu both turned to look at her, favor values can rise. Right now Professor Wen sits at 30, giving a max x30 multiplier. If her favor hits 50, or even 100, the critical hit cap will rise alongside it. As the group discussed all the benefits Lin Mu's talent brought them, Chen Lu suddenly spotted an unspoken flaw. Wait a second. If higher favor means bigger critical hits, if all of us end up with super high favor toward the senior, doesn't that make all of us his? She trailed off mid-sentence, mouth hanging open. Harem. Su Qingli finished the thought flatly, her tone as casual as commenting on the weather. Chen Lu darted her eyes around the carriage, pretending to admire the scenery outside. When Wantong ducked her head to adjust her glasses, her ears blazing red, Su Qingli turned her gaze fully to the window, studying the endless black smog outside. Lin Mu's glowing talent panel hovered open in front of him. He decided it was best to say nothing at all. Anything he said would only make the situation worse. Ahem. When Wantong cleared her throat softly, forcing the conversation back on track. Regardless, this talent is an enormous advantage for our group's survival. We can discuss other matters later. Right. We'll talk about that later. Chen Lu nodded vigorously. She glanced down at the stat card clutched in her hand. After a moment's hesitation, she held it out to Lin Mu. Here, senior, you take this. Lin Mu blinked in surprise. Me? This is your draw. I know, but stat cards count as items, right? If you use it, you can trigger a critical hit, yeah? Lin Mu fell silent for a moment before nodding. Exactly. Chen Lu pushed the card further toward him. If I use it myself, I only get one stat point. But if you use it, you could get dozens of times that amount. The same item gives far more benefit when you use it. Giving it to you maximizes gains for our whole team. When Wantong nodded approvingly, looking on with quiet relief. This normally scatterbrained girl had a clear head when it came to matters of survival. Also, I'm sorry I couldn't remember your name earlier. Chen Lu said openly and sincerely. Lin Mu paused, then shook his head. It's fine, keep it. It's yours. Besides, it's not a big deal. I couldn't possibly remember every single student's name on campus either. Just take it. It was Su Qingli, still staring out the window, who cut him off. Concentrating resources on the optimal vessel is the most fundamental survival strategy. Since you're the bearer of this talent, there's no need to wallow over trivial matters like this. Her words were blunt, yet her meaning crystal clear. She also agreed that Lin Mu should take the stat card. Wantong smiled softly at Lin Mu, her gaze gentle yet resolute. She said nothing, yet conveyed everything without a word. All three girls shared the same stance. Lin Mu sighed and finally reached out to take the stat card. Character, Lin Mu strength, 8 agility, 8 constitution, 9 spirit, 12 skills, none talent, favorability critical strike SSS tier. As prompted, Lin Mu only needed to slot the stat card into whichever base attribute he wished to raise. He was mulling over which stat to boost when a slender, fair palm stretched out before him. Lin Mu followed the hand upward and met Wan Tang's blushing face. It requires physical contact, doesn't it? You have to touch your bonded target to trigger the critical strike, Wan Tang said, struggling to keep her tone steady. Chen Lu stood beside them, stifling a grin as her eyes darted back and forth between Lin Mu and Wan Tang. Even the big celebrity Su Qingli shot them an idle glance, as if watching a juicy gossip unfold. What are you daydreaming about? Hurry up, Wan Tang urged. Pardon my boldness, Teacher Wan. Lin Mu laced his fingers through hers. The honorific teacher only deepened a crimson flush spreading across Wan Tang's cheeks. Just then, Chen Lu's eyes suddenly widened. She pointed at the glowing light screen at the front of the carriage. Look, the favorability values have changed. Only then did the others notice the shifts in the metrics. Bond target favorability Su Qingli, 3 Wan Tang, 35 Chen Lu, 18. Wait a second, Teacher Wan. Your favorability jumped 5 points just from holding hands. Chen Lu marveled, as if she'd discovered a new continent. Yours rose too. 8 points, even more than mine, Wan Tang retorted in a small voice, her face burning bright red. That's because I just saw a side of Senior I've never noticed before. How handsome you are. Of course my favorability went up, Chen Lu argued confidently. As for Su Qingli, whose favorability had also climbed 3 points, she looked away once more to gaze at the black fog outside the window, pretending she'd seen nothing. Wan Tang's hand was soft, her palm slightly cool. Holding his teacher's hand made Lin Mu's thoughts wander restlessly. He forced his mind back into focus and turned his attention to the stat panel before him. In the end, he chose to allocate the single stat point to strength. Base attribute strength plus 1 favorability critical strike triggered current bond targeting contact. Wan Tang, favorability 35 usable once daily, fixed maximum critical multiplier. Current critical multiplier, times 35 strength plus 35 updated base stat panel. Strength, 43 agility, 8 constitution, 9 spirit, 12. How did it go, Senior? Chen Lu asked anxiously. Lin Mu said nothing and pulled up his updated stat panel for everyone to see. Chen Lu counted the digits on her fingers over and over to make sure she hadn't misread. 35 points. It really added 35 whole points. Oh my god, oh my god. She hopped excitedly on the spot, her twin ponytails swinging merrily through the air. That's insane. 43 total strength points now. Senior could punch an ox to death with one blow. No, 2 oxen. Senior, from today on you're the SSR of our train. No, you're the entire SSR gotcha pool itself. Su Qingli, who was also staring at the panel, let a faint flicker of emotion cross her normally icy features. Though her expression smoothed over in an instant, it was plain to see she was satisfied. Meanwhile, Wan Tang quietly slipped her hand free from Lin Mu's grasp. She squeezed her palm tight behind her back, as if trying to squeeze away the strange, lingering warmth of his touch. With her other hand, she pushed up her glasses, striving to steady her voice back to normal. A 35-point strength boost is an enormous gain. This will grant us a massive advantage in the early survival stages. The train will arrive at its next station in 1 hour. Zombie Town, a mechanical voice echoed out, cutting through the brief buzz of excitement filling the carriage after Lin Mu's massive stat surge. Docking duration, 5 hours. Current trains docked. 1 mission objective. Slay 5 zombies. Mission failure penalty. Permanent detainment. The air inside the carriage turned frigid in an instant. The grin on Chen Lu's face froze mid-smile. Zombies? Actual real zombies. What does permanent detainment mean? Are we stuck in this godforsaken place forever? Exactly what it sounds like. Fail the mission, and you'll remain trapped at this station for eternity, Su Qingli said, turning to face the group. We're definitely gonna clear it. Senior can punch 2 oxen dead now. 5 zombies are nothing. Chen Lu raised her voice, half cheering herself up. Lin Mu did not reply, only staring silently at the text on the mission panel, lost in thought. He'd seen countless depictions of zombies in movies and games, but the thought of facing them in reality felt entirely different. We reach the station in an hour. We need to prepare before then. Wan Tang pushed up her glasses and spoke as calmly as she could. Prepare for what? Chen Lu blinked and asked. We know nothing about these zombies, their speed, strength, weaknesses. We have 0 intel. Wan Tang sighed helplessly. According to standard zombie media tropes, their weakness is the head, but reality isn't a movie, Su Qingli agreed. You're right. This isn't fiction, so we must exercise extreme caution. Lin Mu has our highest strength stat. He'll likely be our primary damage dealer. Wan Tang looked toward Lin Mu. Leave it to me. Lin Mu nodded. What about me and Sister Su? Chen Lu raised her hand, her face pleading to pitch in. Miss Su has a scouting skill. She'll handle lookout and pathfinding. As for you, little Lu. Wantang glanced at her, then shook her head helplessly. Your job is to stay calm. No screaming, no running off. Chen-Lu pouted but did not argue. We also need weapons. Lin Mu's strength is formidable, but fighting zombies barehanded is far too risky. Their blood could be corrosive, or a single bite might infect you. Wantang left the sentence hanging, yet her implication was clear. We'll scavenge supplies once we reach the station. Since it's a town, there should be hardware stores or construction yards, Su Qingli added. Or we could rip down street signs or pry off manhole covers. Everyone does that in games. Chen-Lu offered a surprisingly constructive suggestion for once. An hour later, the train slowed, and the black fog outside the windows thinned. In its place stretched a murky gray sky hanging low over a town shrouded in heavy storm clouds. The train rolled slowly to a stop. Cracks spiderwebbed across the concrete of the dilapidated platform, overgrown with weeds. Distant town buildings stood low and decrepit, resembling an abandoned industrial zone from the 1990s. Wrecked vehicles littered the streets, shop signs hung crookedly, and shattered glass carpeted the pavement. Not a single person in sight, not a sound to be heard, not even the chirp of birds or buzz of insects. Utter desolation. Arrived at station. Zombie Town countdown remaining. 4 hours 59 minutes. All passengers, please disembark. The train doors slid open soundlessly. A revolting stench washed into the carriage. Chen-Lu clamped a hand over her nose first. Ugh, what's that smell? Rotting flesh, Su Qingli stated flatly, her brows twitching slightly in disgust. Wantang's complexion paled too, but she merely pressed a handkerchief lightly over her nose and mouth, without comment. Lin Mu stepped off the train first. The rough concrete scraped beneath his shoes. Stick close, don't get separated. Wantang exited second, followed by Su Qingli, then Chen-Lu. Chen-Lu practically glued herself to Su Qingli's back, one hand twisted tight in the hem of her coat. What are you doing? Su Qingli glanced down at her tugged clothing. I'm scared, Chen-Lu mumbled pitifully. Su Qingli fell silent for 2 seconds, then chose not to brush her hand away. Beneath the platform lay an abandoned road flanked by rows of shabby storefronts. Lin Mu led the way, his eyes sweeping rapidly over the surroundings. He quickly spotted a loose iron bar sticking out of a toppled roadside sign. Lin Mu strode over, and bolstered by his 43 points of strength, tore the metal bar free with effortless ease. He swung it once in his grip. It was roughly a meter long, the perfect size. This will do. Lin Mu nodded in satisfaction. The 4 of them continued down the road. Su Qingli walked third, faint wind currents humming at her ears. Listen to the wind, she told herself silently. The moment her skill activated, every trace of movement within 100 meters flooded her senses. The wrecked cars stood empty. No signs of life lingered inside the roadside shops. There's something down the next street. Living? Wantang asked. It's moving, but it's not human. A zombie? Wantang pressed again. Highly likely. 2 of them, on the adjacent street, Su Qingli replied. Can we handle them? Wantang turned to Lin Mu. I've never fought one, but logically the first station won't throw anything overwhelmingly difficult at us, Lin Mu answered. He tightened his grip on the iron bar as the 3 girls fell into line behind him. The group held their breath and rounded the street corner. Lin Mu froze in his tracks. 2 human-shaped figures wandered aimlessly in the middle of the road. They bore the vague shape of people, yet could no longer be called human by any stretch. Their skin was ashen black, crisscrossed with fissures and open wounds. Bone jutted through torn flesh in places. Their movements were stiff and lumbering. Their facial features were barely recognizable, their eyes reduced to cloudy milky white orbs. Zombies, they really are zombies. Chen-Lu latched onto Lin Mu's arm, her voice trembling. Even Wantang and Su Qingli unconsciously shuffled half a step closer to Lin Mu. Stay here. I'll go check it out. Lin Mu lowered his voice and patted Chen-Lu's clinging arm. You're going alone? That's way too dangerous. Chen-Lu blurted out instinctively. It might not be dangerous for me. It would be deadly for any of you, Lin Mu said evenly. Chen-Lu opened her mouth, yet could find no retort. Be careful. If things go south, retreat immediately, and we'll regroup to plan another approach, Wantang cautioned. Su Qingli said nothing, only shot Lin Mu a single glance. The unspoken message was clear, don't get yourself killed. Lin Mu nodded, lightening his footsteps as he crept toward the 2 wandering zombies. His heart hammered wildly, not from fear, but a tangled rush of tension and adrenaline. He knew his strength far outstripped ordinary humans, yet knowing it and living it were 2 entirely different things. 20 meters, 15 meters, 10 meters. One of the zombies suddenly halted. Its head rotated slowly, milky white eyes locking straight onto Lin Mu's position. He'd been spotted. The zombie's jaw split wide open, unleashing a hoarse guttural snarl before lunging straight for him. The second zombie charged close on its heels. Lin Mu's mind went blank for a split second, then his body reacted faster than his thoughts. He raised the iron bar and charged head-on at the first zombie. He brought the metal crashing down on its skull. Crunch. The zombie's head burst apart instantly. It crumpled to the pavement without another twitch. The second zombie lunged mere moments later. Another deafening crunch. Both zombies lay slain. Lin Mu stood frozen for a beat, processing what had just happened. That was it. Where was the brutal survival struggle he'd expected? It had taken less than 10 seconds total to take down both creatures. Lin Mu finally understood exactly what 43 points of strength meant. Senior. Chen Lu came sprinting over first, her twin ponytails bouncing as she threw herself against Lin Mu to check him over. Are you alright? Did you get bitten? Any injuries? I'm fine, don't worry. Lin Mu reached up to ruffle her hair. Once she finished inspecting him, Chen Lu stepped back, her cheeks flushed from her impulsive rush forward. Wan Tang hurried over next, her gaze scanning Lin Mu anxiously from head to toe. She only exhaled in relief when she spotted no blood on his clothes. Facing creatures like this for the first time and handling it so cleanly, impressive. It was manageable, easier than I anticipated. That's only because your strength is absurdly high, Wan Tang marveled. Su Qingli approached last. She stared at Lin Mu, her expression still cold and detached. Not bad. But if you're hoping to build a harem, you'll need far more than this level of power. Keep pushing yourself. It was praise wrapped in motivation, albeit an unorthodox way of offering encouragement. Wan Tang quickly rushed to change the subject. Everyone, check your panels. There's a new notification. Her words drew all eyes to their individual status screens. Lin Mu pulled his own up and saw the train system had sent a favorability update alert to every member of the group. Bond target favorability increased notification. Chen Lu favorability +5, current. 23, Wan Tang favorability +2, current. 37, Su Qingli favorability +2, current. 5. Wait, why'd mine go up again? Chen Lu's eyes bulged, her ponytails whipping wildly as she twisted her head. I just ran over to make sure you weren't hurt. Does that count? Wan Tang had intended to steer the conversation away from awkward territory, but reading the numbers on the panel left her wearing an utterly flustered expression. She opened her mouth to smooth over the embarrassment, yet no words felt appropriate. We'll need to study this favorability mechanic further. Maybe it's because Senior acted so bravely just now. Chen Lu tilted her head, trying to rationalize her stat jump. That makes sense. Demonstrating competence and reliability in a dangerous environment naturally fosters trust. It's a standard psychological response, Wan Tang said, her tone unnaturally steady. Exactly. Trust. That's all I feel for Senior. Just trust. Chen Lu nodded vigorously. Su Qingli remained silent off to the side, staring at her own 2-point favorability gain, and said nothing at all. Lin Mu wisely opted to stay quiet, shifting his focus to another line of text on his panel. Look, killing zombies grants experience points. He pulled the notification up for the 3 girls to read. Zombies slain times 2 experience gained. 2010 by 2 beside the experience value sat a gray toggle marked. Trigger experience critical strike? Experience critical strike from your talent. Try it quickly, Senior. Let's see how much it multiplies. Chen Lu urged eagerly. Wan Tang pushed up her glasses and held out her hand to Lin Mu without hesitation. Let's do it. With their earlier experience, the pair moved far more naturally this time as their hands interlocked. Experience critical strike activated current bond target in contact. Wan Tang, favorability 37 current critical multiplier, times 9 random. Base experience, 20 experience post critical strike. 180 player level up LV.1 LV.2 level up reward. All attributes +2 the numbers on the panel flickered and updated simultaneously. Strength, 43, 45 agility, 8, 10 constitution, 9, 11 spirit, 12, 14, 180 experience points. We jumped straight from level 1 to 2, and there's 80 extra points filling the experience bar. Chen Lu leaned in close to examine the screen. Only 100 points are needed to hit level 2, meaning Senior could level up again after just 2 more zombie kills, +2 to all attributes. It's not as explosive as a stat point critical strike, but consistent. Su Qingli's gaze swept across the 4 base stats. Senior, your talent is ridiculously overpowered. You've shot straight to the top overnight. Chen Lu spun in a circle out of sheer excitement, her ponytails flying. Lin Mu smiled and said nothing, his gaze drifting back to the 2 fallen zombie corpses. He hadn't noticed before, but faint translucent wisps hovered faintly over their bodies. Above the first zombie floated the silhouette of timber, labeled lumber ×2. Above the second hung a metallic outline marked iron chunks ×2. Are those loot drops from defeating monsters? Chen Lu followed Lin Mu's line of sight. Given this is a survival game simulation, resource drops from slain foes are a common game design trope, Wan Tang analyzed. Try collecting them, Su Qingli told Lin Mu. Lin Mu's hand was still clasped with Wan Tang's, unseparated. He reached his free hand out toward the translucent resource wisps. Collected, lumber ×2 favorability critical strike triggered current bonded contact. 1 Wantong, favorability, 37. Critical hit multiplier this time. 20x random obtained. Lumber ×40 looted. Iron ingots ×2 favorability critical hit triggered current bonded contact. 1 Wantong, Favorability. 37 critical hit multiplier this time. 15x random obtained. Iron ingots times 30. 40 lumber and 30 iron ingots. This is insane. We only took down 2 zombies and got this much loot. Chen Lu nearly jumped for joy. Wanwantong was equally surprised. She knew critical hits existed, but seeing a handful of materials multiplied dozens of times right before her eyes was still staggering. Resource materials are typically used for construction, crafting, or upgrades in survival games. Still, we'll have to head back to the train to figure out exactly what we can make with them, Wanwantong analyzed. Should we hunt more zombies then? Senior brother is so strong right now. If we farm more EXP and materials, we'll skyrocket our strength instantly. Chen Lu stared eagerly down the distant street, looking at the zombies as nothing but piles of supplies. What do you think? Wanwantong turned to Lin Mu, leaving the call to him. This is our first station since entering the game. It'll likely be the easiest one we encounter. We should seize the chance to widen our advantage. Lin Mu nodded in agreement. Not bad. You've got some sense of responsibility. Su Qingli shot him a glance of approval. At that moment, another favorability notification popped up from the train system. Su Qingli favorability +3, current favorability 8. Chen Lu eyed Su Qingli with a strange look, but said nothing. If it had been Teacher Wan, she would have started teasing them non-stop by now. Holding back her comments was clearly torture. Meanwhile, Su Qingli stared at the sudden +3 favorability for 2 full seconds, speechless. I just remembered. There was something off about the wind coming from that direction earlier. She pointed blankly toward the eastern side of the small town, her tone calm as if nothing awkward had just happened. There's something over there. I'm going to check it out. With that, Su Qingli strode forward, the hem of her ancient-style, silk dress fluttering gently behind her. Her back looked composed, her steps graceful and unhurried. Yet somehow, the other 3 could all feel an urgent urge in her posture. She just wanted to flee the awkward atmosphere as fast as possible. Chen Lu couldn't hold it in any longer and covered her mouth to snicker. Wanwantong also turned her head away, the corners of her lips twitching upward before she forced her smile down. Let's go follow her. Lin Mu broke the tense silence, taking the lead. When the 3 caught up to Su Qingli, she stood at a crossroads corner, tilting her head to listen intently. Her slender pale figure stood beneath the gray, overcast sky, strands of hair swept up by the wind, forming a picturesque scene. Wind perception. Su Qingli whispered the name of her skill and closed her eyes. The sound of the wind sharpened and clarified in her ears, weaving a 3-dimensional sensory map of her surroundings. She could pinpoint any moving objects and estimate their approximate distance through the shifting air currents. 80 meters ahead, along that horizontal street, 5 moving targets. Su Qingli opened her eyes and pointed to the left front. 5 zombies. Chen Lu shrank her neck nervously. Their builds matched the 2 we fought earlier, so that's them. Su Qingli nodded. 5 total. Are you sure you can handle it, senior brother? The last fight was easy, but that's more than double the number. Chen Lu fretted. Lin Mu didn't answer immediately. He first pulled up his status panel. Strength, 45, agility, 10, constitution, 11, spirit, 14. Every stat had risen by 2 points since they first stepped off the train. But the far bigger boost came from the confidence gained in their last battle. We'll find out. Lin Mu tightened his grip on the iron rod in his hand and marched forward. The 3 girls hung back a short distance, then followed close behind. As they rounded the bend, the 5 zombies came into view. They clustered around an overturned van, their ashen black claws scraping relentlessly against the vehicle doors with a shrill, teeth-grating noise. At the sound of footsteps, 5 grayish-white heads swiveled in unison, their cloudy eyes locking onto Lin Mu all at once. Roar! Hoarse growls erupted simultaneously, and all 5 zombies lunged straight for him. They were slow, but their flailing limbs and bared teeth made them a terrifying sight regardless. Lin Mu drew a deep breath, hefted his iron rod, and charged to meet them. His first blow caved in the skull of the leading zombie. The second was a sweeping horizontal strike that spun the second zombie's head a full 360 degrees. The third came crashing down from above, bursting the third zombie's head open like a watermelon. The remaining 2 showed no sign of retreat, barreling toward him without hesitation. Lin Mu dodged one's pounce sideways and slammed the rod into the back of its skull. The last zombie seized the opening to lunge from the side, jaws snapping to sink its teeth into Lin Mu's arm. Lin Mu drove his foot hard into its chest. Thud! The zombie went flying backward, slamming into the overturned van and denting its metal door deep inward. Lin Mu stepped forward, bringing the rod down to end its twitching for good. The entire fight lasted less than 20 seconds. 5 zombie corpses lay strewn across the pavement, thick gray-black blood oozing slowly over the ground. Lin Mu glanced down at his clothes. Thankfully, not a single drop of blood had splattered on him. Senior brother. Chen Lu's excited shout echoed over, barely containing her elation. Can I come over now? Come on, they're all dealt with. The words had barely left his mouth before the twin-tailed girl sprinted toward him, with Wanwantong and Su Qingli hurrying close behind. Oh my god, 5 whole zombies. You wiped them all out in under 30 seconds. Chun-Lu circled the corpses, her eyes sparkling like two bright stars. Senior brother, you're basically a walking human mech suit. Hardly a mech, Lin Mu replied modestly. Close enough. How many cows could you punch dead with your strength? 2. Wait, 45 strength. You could probably take down 4. Chun-Lu's math was as questionable as ever. Wan Wantong stepped beside Lin Mu and gave him a quick once-over. Any injuries? Not a scratch. They never even touched me. Thank goodness. Wan Wantong let out a relieved breath and naturally held out her hand, pale palm upturned before him. She'd done this twice before, far more smoothly this time. Lin Mu didn't hesitate and clasped her hand in his. The moment their palms touched, the EXP counter on his status panel began flickering rapidly. Zombies slain times 5, base EXP gained. 50 10 times 5, EXP critical hit triggered current bonded contact. 1 Wantong, favorability. 37, critical hit multiplier this time. 8x random base EXP. 50, EXP after critical hit. 400, player level up, LV.2 LV. 3, level up reward. All stats +2. Lin Mu checked the EXP thresholds for each level. Level 1 to 2 required 100 EXP, level 2 to 3 needed 200, and level 3 to 4 demanded 300. He'd carried an extra 80 EXP leftover from hitting level 2 earlier. With the additional 400 EXP from the critical hit, he now sat at 280 surplus EXP after reaching level 3. Only 20 more EXP, and he'd hit level 4 again. Even as the one experiencing it, Lin Mu thought the pace was absurdly fast. It felt less like the official server and more like a private boosted server. Transparent loot orbs hovered above the 5 corpses, each dropping different supplies. Lumber, iron ingots, cloth, and compressed biscuits. Chun-Lu rushed over to inspect each drop. Compressed biscuits, we finally have food. Looks like we won't go hungry after all. Su Qingli volunteered a rare comment. Wan Wantong's hand was still locked with Lin Mu's as he looted the drops one by one. Looted, lumber times 2, critical hit triggered, 22x, obtained. Lumber times 44 looted. Iron ingots times 2, critical hit triggered, 18x, obtained. Iron ingots times 36. Looted. Iron ingots times 2, critical hit triggered, 10x, obtained. Iron ingots times 20 looted. Cloth times 1, critical hit triggered, 15x, obtained. Cloth times 15 looted. Compressed biscuits times 1, critical hit triggered, 20x, obtained. Compressed biscuits times 20. Lin Mu shared the loot notifications with the entire party, flooding everyone's status panels with scrolling pop-ups. Chun-Lu's jaw dropped open into a perfect O shape as she read the long list of numbers. 44 lumber, 56 iron ingots, 15 cloth, 20 packs of biscuits. Senior brother, did you rob the zombies' supply stash entirely? It only looks that abundant because of Lin Mu's critical hit ability, Wan Wantong reminded her. Without his critical multiplier, killing 5 zombies would have only yielded 2 lumber, for iron ingots, 1 cloth, and 1 pack of biscuits. Would you still think that's a huge haul? Your critical hit talent is ridiculously overpowered, Su Qingli deadpanned with complete sincerity. If I were the game developer, I'd ban your account on the spot after seeing this ability. Spit that unlucky talk out, Sister Su. We're legitimate players, not some game-breaking bug exploiters. Chun-Lu shot back immediately. For nearly the next hour, Lin Mu led the 3 girls on a sweep around the town's outer perimeter. Su Qingli's wind perception skill performed shockingly well out in the open. She could pinpoint the exact location and count of zombie hordes nearly every time, letting Lin Mu prepare ahead of each fight. Lin Mu handled all combat. Wan Wantong supplied contact critical hits to maximize every drop of EXP and materials. And Chun-Lu? Chun-Lu's job was cheering them on from a safe distance, then bouncing over to tally all the loot once each skirmish ended. 3 more down. Keep it up, senior brother. Let me count. We've taken out 23 total now. Sister Su, check the left side for zombies. I already scouted the right. Nothing over there. Teacher 1, you two are still holding hands? Oh right, time to loot more supplies. Wan Wantong flushed bright red at her teasing. But a problem quickly arose. My inventory's full. We only get 10 storage slots. Even though each item stacks up to 99, these 8 decks of playing cards are hogging an entire slot all by themselves. I can't pick up anything else unless I throw the cards away. Chun-Lu frowned, rummaging through her backpack. Every survivor in the train game received this standard 10-slot backpack, Lin Mu included. His own bag had been full long ago, so they split the loot among the group. But even Chun-Lu's storage had hit its limit fast. Wan Wantong checked her own backpack and frowned as well. I still have a little space left, but it's almost full too. We need to head back to the train to stow all this. We can't leave supplies behind. Every material will come in handy later. Lin Mu made the call. But it's such a long walk back. It took us an hour just to get here. Chun-Lu glanced back down the endless gray street they'd traveled along. We can make it back in 20 minutes if we hurry. Su Qingli estimated the distance. Let's go then. We can all rest while we're there, Wan Wantong agreed. The 4 retraced their steps. They encountered 0 zombies on the return trip. Su Qingli kept wind perception active the whole way to confirm their safety, letting them move far faster than they had on the way out. Just as Su Qingli predicted, the familiar train car came into view 20 minutes later. Its doors stood wide open, as if waiting for its passengers to return. Lin Mu boarded first and transferred every supply from his backpack into a large storage crate tucked in the car's corner. The train's built-in crate offered 50 storage slots, with the same 99-item stacking cap as personal backpacks. All 4 players' excess loot fit inside with ease. Lumber times 230, iron ingots times 256, cloth times 102, rope times 12, compressed biscuits times 36, playing cards times 8, mineral water times 24. Assorted canned food, plus several miscellaneous items with unknown uses for now. We've stockpiled this much already at just the first station. Senior brother, your talent is straight up cheating. Chen Lu exclaimed, having found what she thought was the perfect description. It is undeniably overpowered. With these materials, we should be able to craft tools and weapons to boost the entire team's combat strength. Wan Wantong pushed her glasses up the bridge of her nose and said, only if the train has a crafting system. We still know far too little about the game's core mechanics, Su Qingli warned. We'll learn as we go. As long as senior brother's with us, our train's the strongest one around. Chen Lu shrugged confidently, hands planted on her hips, brimming with bravado. Lin Mu didn't respond, only smiled. He emptied his backpack and stepped back off the train first. Let's get back to farming while this station's still active. The 3 girls exchanged a quick glance and followed him outside. Their subsequent zombie hunts went even more smoothly. Lin Mu had reached level 6 by this point, 5 levels higher than when they first disembarked, with plus 10 added to every stat. Strength, 53, agility, 18, constitution, 19, spirit, 22. His combat power had skyrocketed. He took down every zombie with a single clean rod strike. Even clustered hordes only required a few extra swings to clear. Su Qingli's scouting always let Lin Mu seize the high ground ahead of every fight. Wan Wantong's contact critical hits multiplied every scrap of EXP and material to its maximum value. And Chen Lu? Well, Chen Lu kept morale high and stared at Lin Mu with starry-eyed admiration once each battle wrapped up. Senior brother, that was awesome. Your rod fighting style is incredible. Did you level up again? You're unstoppable. After slaying their 35th zombie, Lin Mu finally hit level 8. Player level, LV.8 strength, 57 agility, 22 constitution, 23 spirit, 26. Thanks to his constant EXP critical hits, his level had rocketed upward at breakneck speed. Level 8. You're already level 8, senior brother, and we're still only at the first station. If we farm this hard at every station, you'll hit max level in no time. Chen Lu cheered as if she'd leveled up herself. Max level is still a long way off, and each subsequent level demands far more EXP than the last. Wan Wantong read Lin Mu's public stat panel and replied, but our critical hits give hundreds, even thousands of EXP at a time. What's there to worry about? Chen Lu remained endlessly optimistic. Su Qingli stayed silent through their conversation. Her gaze drifted past Lin Mu's shoulder, toward the deeper, unexplored heart of the town. The area had remained completely quiet within wind perception's detection range until now, but something strange was shifting there. What's wrong? Lin Mu noticed her odd demeanor. There's something out there, just beyond my perception radius. Su Qingli pointed toward the town center, her tone uncertain. The second her words faded, a deep, rumbling roar boomed from the town's core. It was a sound no human could produce, unlike any zombie growl they'd heard so far. Deeper, heavier, carrying a bone-chilling aura of overwhelming pressure. Even separated by several city blocks, Chen Lu's face drained of all color. What is that? No one answered her. The train's cold mechanical system announcement blared to life at that exact moment. Mass zombie extermination by players has temporarily raised this town's danger level. Alert! Hidden town boss, zombie overlord, has been awakened. Current station danger level elevated. Rank E, rank D recommendation. Prepare for combat immediately. A zombie overlord? What even is that? Why is there a boss monster? We only killed a handful of regular zombies. Did we really have to wake their leader? Chen Lu's voice cracked with panic. The boss spawn trigger is tied to total kill count. How many have you slain so far? Su Qingli tore her eyes from the town center and looked at Lin Mu. 35, Lin Mu replied. 35 kills is the threshold. We'll need to watch our kill count at every future station, or prepare thoroughly before hitting the spawn limit. Wan Wantong quickly analyzed the situation. What do you think? Wan Wantong turned to Lin Mu, leaving the call to him. This is our first station since entering the game. It'll likely be the easiest one we encounter. We should seize the chance to widen our advantage. Lin Mu nodded in agreement. What do we do now? This overlord sounds terrifying, and the station danger rank just jumped. No one mentioned danger levels before. Was that hidden game info? Chen Lu paced anxiously, stamping her feet. Let's take a look first. Lin Mu gripped his iron rod tight, staring down the street toward the source of the roar. At the far end of the road, A colossal silhouette rounded the corner and stepped into view. This monster was at least 3 times the size of an ordinary zombie. Ash-black muscles bulged all over its body, with dark red vein-like streaks faintly visible beneath its skin. Its head was also larger and more intact than a regular zombie's. One could even make out traces of its original human features. Its eyes were unlike those of common zombies too, blazing crimson, brimming with brutality and madness. It did not take long for the zombie lord to spot Lin Mu. Roar! It bared rows of sharp fangs and let out a deafening bellow. The sound was so thunderous it spiderwebbed cracks across the car windows lining the road. Terrified, Chun-Lu scrambled straight behind Lin Mu, clutching his clothes tightly with both hands. Senior, senior, senior. It's coming. It's walking right for us. Find somewhere to hide, Lin Mu said in a low, steady voice. Hide? Hide where? Wan Wantong swept a quick glance over their surroundings. That building over there. Su Qingli pointed at a 2-story shopfront beside the road. The ground floor was a general store, and the windows on the second floor were still unbroken. We can circle around the back to get inside and head up to the second floor. Go, all of you, hurry. Lin Mu never took his eyes off the zombie lord, only waving them away. Wan Wantong hesitated, opening her mouth to say something, but swallowed the words back down. Be careful, was all she said before grabbing Chun-Lu and rushing toward the building with Su Qingli. Senior, please stay safe. Chun-Lu called out as she ran. Only after the 3 girls vanished through the general store's back door did Lin Mu exhale a long breath. Flexing his wrist around the iron rod, he gripped tight. The zombie lord was now less than 30 meters away. Up close, its imposing aura was even more overwhelming. It stood a full 2.5 meters tall. Even from afar, Lin Mu could catch the stench of rot and blood rolling off its frame, and the ground trembled faintly with every heavy step it took. I have to seize the initiative, Lin Mu resolved inwardly, tightening his hold on the iron rod and charging forward. Seeing Lin Mu advance instead of retreat, a flicker of surprise crossed the zombie lord's crimson eyes. Then it quickened its pace as well. Its massive frame carried crushing momentum, carving deep fissures into the asphalt with each stride. Lin Mu dodged its first lunge sideways, swinging the iron rod in a full arc to slam hard into the monster's arm. Bang! The impact felt nothing like hitting a regular zombie. A single blow from this rod was enough to cave an ordinary zombie's skull in. But striking the zombie lord was like slamming into a giant block of rubber. The recoil sent a sharp tingle shooting up Lin Mu's palms. The strike only left a shallow indentation on the lord's arm. It glanced down at the wounded spot, then lifted its crimson gaze to pin Lin Mu in place, its stare almost mocking. Got quite a bit of strength, huh? Lin Mu stepped back 2 paces to create distance. The zombie lord lunged again right after. This time, Lin Mu did not meet the blow head-on. Instead, he leveraged his superior agility to circle around it. Though his agility stat was still less than half his strength, it far outmatched the lumbering, undead beast. The zombie lord boasted vastly greater strength and defense than common zombies. Yet its speed was barely any better. It could not keep up with Lin Mu's 22-point agility stat at all. Seizing an opening as he circled to its flank, Lin Mu brought the rod crashing down onto the zombie lord's knee. Crack! This blow finally bore fruit. A sharp snap echoed from its knee, and its entire frame lurched sideways. It steadied itself quickly, but that leg clearly could not bear its weight properly anymore. Glancing at its injured knee, the zombie lord lifted its head to lock eyes with Lin Mu. It abandoned its previous reckless charges, slowing its footsteps to advance on him step by step. Like a seasoned fighter shrinking its opponent's space. Lin Mu frowned. Does this thing actually have a brain? Meanwhile, on the second-floor window of the general store, 3 heads poked out one after another from behind the curtains, lined up like 3 cats observing a hunt. Chun-Lu leaned over on the left, Su Qingli in the middle, and Wan Wantong on the far right. Can Senior beat that huge monster? Chun-Lu whispered, afraid of drawing the zombie lord's attention. From what I can tell, he holds the advantage in speed and agility, but their strength gap is narrow. The zombie lord's defense is definitely far superior, Wan Wantong analyzed, her tone laced with worry. Su Qingli said nothing, merely watching the fight unfolding below in silence. Yet the unconscious tapping of her fingers against the windowsill betrayed her inner unrest. Downstairs, the battle grew fiercer by the second. The zombie lord kept closing off Lin Mu's room to maneuver. Slow as it was, it possessed unshakable patience. Every time Lin Mu tried to circle behind it, the monster blocked his path with its body ahead of time. Its combat instincts were leagues above ordinary zombies. I can't keep letting it dictate this fight. Lin Mu reached a split-second decision. He drew a deep breath, no longer ducking or retreating, and suddenly charged straight at the zombie lord head-on. The lord clearly had not anticipated Lin Mu's bold advance, confusion flickering across its crimson eyes. It did not hesitate, however, swinging its enormous palm to swat at Lin Mu's head. At the last possible instant, Lin Mu ducked low and rolled cleanly past the monster's side. Mid-roll, he swept the iron rod sideways, slamming it hard into the lord's lower back. Bang! The zombie lord lurched violently and let out a thunderous roar. Linmu gave it no time to recover, spinning around to strike the same spot a second time. A third blow, a fourth, a fifth. He poured all his power into every swing, channeling his full 57 strength points into the monster's wounded waist. The zombie lord's pained bellows grew louder, its body sagging further and further to one side. Finally, after countless consecutive strikes, a gaping bloody wound burst open on its flank, thick ash-black blood gushing forth. It stumbled, trying to twist around, but its injured knee and waist slowed its movements to a crawl. Linmu seized the chance, dashing up to its front. He raised the iron rod high overhead and brought it crashing down toward the monster's skull. The zombie lord lifted an arm to block, but it was far too slow. The rod connected solidly with the lord's crown. Boom. Its colossal body crashed heavily to the asphalt, kicking up a cloud of dust. The zombie lord lay sprawled on the road, its crimson eyes still rolling as it struggled to drag itself back to its feet. Linmu wasted no time, raising the rod one last time and driving it down onto its head. Silence fell. A layer of pale white light shimmered across the zombie lord's corpse, quickly coalescing to form a treasure chest hovering above the body. The ornate chest glowed soft white, waiting to be opened. Zombie Lord Grade D Elite eliminated. Experience gained, 100 unsettled. Option to trigger critical hit bonus. Select no to settle immediately. The back door on the general store's ground floor slammed open, and Chun-Lu bolted out first. Senior, you won. You really beat it. She skidded to a halt in front of him, circling him twice as if checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Did that giant hit you? Did its claws cut you anywhere? I'm fine, don't worry. Linmu reached out and patted the top of her head. Chun-Lu only then realized she had thrown herself at him again, jumping back a step with bright pink cheeks. Wan Wantong and Su Qingli walked over right after. Wan Wantong scanned Lin Mu's body thoroughly, only truly relaxing once she saw no wounds on him. Then her gaze fell on the treasure chest floating above the monster's corpse. Is that a treasure chest? It dropped from killing the zombie lord. Lin Mu nodded. A chest. It's a treasure chest. Senior, open it quickly. Let's see what great loot we get. Chun-Lu burst into excitement again. Lin Mu naturally laced his fingers through Wan Wantong's, lifting his free hand to open the chest, when Su Qingli suddenly called out to stop them. Wait, what's wrong? Wan Wantong glanced at her in confusion. Check your affection stats first, Su Qingli gestured. Only then did the three notice the numbers on their status panels had shifted once more. Bond target affection values, Su Qingli. 15 Wan Wantong. 42 Chun-Lu. 33 huh? My affection went up again. It jumped from 23 to 33, 10 whole points. Chun-Lu blinked wide-eyed. It rose during the fight. Like I said before, it's only natural to grow trusting when you watch a companion display overwhelming strength and reliability in mortal danger. Wan Wantong pushed up her glasses, striving to keep her tone calm. Then Teacher Wan gained 5 points too, from 37 to 42. Chun-Lu turned to look at her. MHM. Wan Wantong merely nodded, saying nothing more. Sister Sue's went up even more than Teacher Wan's. 7 points straight, from 8 to 15. Chun-Lu's gaze drifted to Su Qingli, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Su Qingli ignored her teasing glance and steered the conversation back on track. What I meant is, now that our affection values have changed, we need to adjust our critical hit strategy. What's wrong? Wan Wantong glanced at her in confusion. Wan Wantong caught on instantly. You mean use Chun-Lu's? Exactly. Her affection sits at 33, freshly increased, and we haven't used her daily maximum fixed critical hit multiplier yet today's suicide. Su Qingli nodded, sweeping her gaze between the three of them. Lin Mu understood as well. His talent panel stated it clearly. Each bonded companion granted one daily use of their fixed maximum affection critical hit multiplier. If they used Chun-Lu's 33 affection multiplier, they were guaranteed a steady times 33 reward boost. If they opted for Wan Wantong's 42 affection instead, the multiplier would roll randomly anywhere from times 1 to times 42. A maximum times 42 roll would be incredible, but if luck turned against them and they landed a single-digit multiplier, they would waste the boss chest entirely. So you're saying we go with a reliable times 33 rather than gambling for a random higher multiplier? Wan Wantong asked Su Qingli. This is a boss drop chest. It almost certainly holds valuable rewards. We can't afford to leave such critical resources to chance. Su Qingli spoke with unwavering certainty. That makes sense. Wan Wantong nodded, turning toward Chun-Lu. Su Qingli followed suit, looking to the young girl. Chun-Lu blinked once. Then her watery big eyes slowly widened, fair cheeks flushing bright red before their eyes. And me? Your affection sits at 33, granting a guaranteed times 33 critical hit multiplier. You're objectively the optimal choice, Su Qingli replied in a matter-of-fact tone. Chun-Lu parted her lips, glancing between Su Qingli and Wan Wantong before settling her gaze on Lin Mu. Before Lin Mu could speak, Chun-Lu drew a deep breath, as if steeling herself for a monumental decision, and strode over to stand beside him. She did not hold her hand out for Linmu to take the way Wan Wantong had. Instead, she reached out and seized his hand directly, lacing their fingers together in a tight grip, far more forward than Wan Wantong had been. Wan Wantong watched the gesture, adjusting her glasses without a word, yet the corner of her mouth twitched involuntarily. Su Qingli shifted her gaze elsewhere, her face retaining its usual cold, detached expression as if none of this concerned her. Is this enough? Chun Lu's voice rose half an octave higher than normal, her eyes fixed firmly on the floating chest, refusing to glance at Linmu. It's fine. Linmu nodded, feeling the soft small hand tucked in his palm, forcing himself to ignore the warm sensation against his skin. He took a deep breath and focused his attention on the treasure chest. Opening treasure chest. Item obtained. Grade D skill card. Air arrow. Affection critical hit triggered. Current bonded companion in contact. Chun Lu. Affection value. 33. Daily fixed maximum critical hit multiplier used. Critical hit multiplier this time. Times 33. Reward gained. Grade D skill card. Air arrow times 33. A blinding burst of pure white light exploded from the chest. Countless skill cards, shimmering pale, cyan, erupted outward, scattering through the air in a rustling shower before drifting down one by one. 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 33. Dozens upon dozens of skill cards floated all around them, their pale cyan glow brightening the entire street. Linmu instinctively caught several mid-fall. The cards felt cool and smooth beneath his fingertips, etched with the outline of an arrow. The words air arrow printed beside the symbol. Weiwa. Chun Lu was the first to cry out, leaping straight into the air with excitement, shaking their clasped hands up and down wildly. 33. 33 skill cards. Did you see that, senior? 33. I saw. Linmu's arm ached from her vigorous shaking, yet he did not pull his hand away. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. A single chest gave 33 skill cards. What insane luck with the critical hit. Chun Lu's eyes sparkled like twin stars. Wan Wantong stared at the shower of descending cards, momentarily stunned. She had known a times 33 multiplier would multiply the rewards heavily, but witnessing one single card turn into 33 with her own eyes carried a far greater visual impact than she had anticipated. This talent really is absurdly overpowered, she muttered under her breath. Though Su Qingli did not match Chun Lu's outburst of joy, a flicker of surprise crossed her eyes before she sank into thought. She stepped forward, picked up 2 of the pale cyan cards, and compared them, confirming they were identical. Chun Lu, don't get your hopes up too high, Su Qingli said evenly. Chun Lu's cheers cut off instantly, and she twisted to face her. What's wrong? Take a look at these. Su Qingli held the cards out for everyone to examine. Every single card bore the exact same name. Grade D skill card. Air arrow. 33 copies. All the same one. Chun Lu stared blankly. Wan Tang froze too, hurrying forward to take one card and study it closely. Grade D skill. Air arrow. Consume the card to learn the skill. Skill description. Condense air into arrowheads to deal damage to a single target. Damage scales with spirit stat. The critical hit multiplied the base reward by 33, but the reward itself never changed, so we got 33 identical cards. That's such a letdown, Rhodes. Chun Lu trailed off, struggling to find the right words to describe her mixed emotions. 1 second she had been ecstatic over hitting a times 33 multiplier jackpot. The next, she realized all 33 rewards were duplicates. Wait a minute. A thought suddenly struck Chun Lu, and she whirled towards Su Qingli. Sister Su, you showed us your skill panel once before. I remember a line written on it. Su Qingli blinked in brief surprise, then caught on to what Chun Lu meant. Without further explanation, she swept a hand through the air to pull her skill panel into view for them all to read. Skill. When listening grade C scouting skill, identical skills can be stacked to upgrade to grade B. Current upgrade progress, January 5th. Identical skills stacked to level up. See that line? Chun Lu pointed excitedly at the text. Which means even though each air arrow is only a grade D skill on its own, stacking all 33 together. Wan Wantong's eyes lit up with newfound hope. Let's give it a try. When Wantong looked at Linmu and said in a resolute tone. Su Qingli said nothing, her gaze also fixed on Linmu. Hurry up, senior. Use them quickly. Chun Lu urged him impatiently. Linmu stared at the pile of skill cards, fell silent for a moment, then glanced at the 3 girls. Won't you 3 use these skill cards? Us use them? Of course you should, senior. You're our main damage dealer. Chun Lu blinked and said matter-of-factly. Little Lu is right. You are the core of our train right now. Boosting your combat power means boosting the whole team's survival rate. When Wantong spoke gently yet firmly. Besides, with our current base stats, even if we use air arrow, it's hard to tell how much damage we could deal. Su Qingli added quietly from the side. Linmu looked at the 3 of them and finally nodded. All right, I won't beat around the bush then. He reached out and picked up an air arrow skill card. A prompt instantly floated before his eyes. Consume D rank skill card air arrow? Yes/no. Linmu selected yes. The card dissolved into a pale cyan wisp of light that sank into his palm. At the same time, a new line of text appeared on his status panel. Skill. Air Arrow D rank skill description. Condense air into an arrow to deal damage to a single target. Damage scales with mental power. Stack identical skills to upgrade to C rank. Current upgrade progress. 1/5, 1 out of 5, meaning we just need 4 more to upgrade it to C rank, when Wantong leaned in to examine the panel. Then let's keep going. Lin Mu drew another skill card. He used it. Current upgrade progress. February 5th 3rd card. Current upgrade progress. March 5th 4th card. Current upgrade progress. April 5th 5th card. Current upgrade progress. May 5th skill upgrading. D rank skill, air arrow. C rank skill, air gun. A pale cyan glow burst forth from Lin Mu's body, several times brighter than before. Once the light faded, the skill description on the panel had completely changed. Skill, air gun. C rank skill description. Condense air into high-pressure air bullets that deal piercing damage to a single target. Damage scales with mental power. Stack identical skills to upgrade to B rank. Current upgrade progress. January 5th, air gun. Aside from the piercing damage, the rest of the description is similar. But a gun has to be far stronger than an arrow, right? Chen Lu crowded up to the panel, reading the skill description aloud. Su Qingli nodded in agreement. Shall we keep going? Lin Mu glanced at the group. Of course we should, Chen Lu said as if it were obvious. The other two shared the same thought. Lin Mu kept going, but this time he fed 5 cards at a time. It took 5 D rank skill cards to fill 1 progress point for the C rank skill. He used 5 skill cards. Current upgrade progress, February 5th. He used 5 more skill cards. Current upgrade progress, March 5th, another 5 skill cards. Current upgrade progress, 4 out of 5, a final 5 skill cards. Current upgrade progress, May 5th skill upgrading. C rank skill, air gun. B rank skill, air cannon. This burst of light was even more dazzling. A pillar of pale cyan light shot skyward from Lin Mu, briefly illuminating the murky gray sky overhead. Chen Lu squinted against the glare but forced her eyes wide to get a clear look. When Wantong stepped back instinctively, the cyan glow reflected on her glasses lenses. Su Qingli stood calmly in place, strands of her hair stirred by the air current from the skill upgrade, her eyes never leaving Lin Mu. The light died down. Lin Mu stared down at his hands. He could feel something fundamental shifting inside him. Not just a surge of strength, but a deeper sense of mastery over a certain power. He pulled up his skill panel. Skill. Air Cannon. B rank skill description. Condense air into high-pressure cannon blasts that deal area damage to a target zone. Damage scales with mental power. Stack identical skills to upgrade to a rank. Current upgrade progress, January 7th. It's B rank now. Chen Lu jumped straight up. It went from single target to area of effect, from arrows to cannons. This skill improved far more drastically than I expected. A smile tugged at Wantong's lips. How many cards did that use up? Su Qingli asked. 25, Lin Mu replied. That leaves 8 remaining. Su Qingli nodded. Let's test its power first. I want to see what an air cannon looks like. Chen Lu bounced on her heels, brimming with eagerness. Lin Mu nodded. He too was curious just how powerful this B rank skill truly was. His gaze swept the street before settling on an abandoned sedan parked by the road. The car sat sideways in the middle of the street, rusted all over with most of its windows shattered, clearly left to rot for years. That one will do. Lin Mu raised his right palm and aimed it at the wrecked sedan. He began channeling his mental power. He could feel the surrounding air rushing toward his palm, compressing and swirling, growing denser and heavier by the second. The sensation was strange, as if he held an invisible bomb cupped in his hands. Air cannon, he murmured silently in his mind. A visible shockwave of air blasted forth from his palm with a thunderous roar. This was no arrow, no bullet. It was a true, condensed column of air cannon fire. Boom. The deafening explosion made Chen Lu clap her hands over her ears on reflex. The sedan, which weighed at least a ton, took the cannon blast head-on. The entire vehicle rolled backward twice violently before slamming into a dead roadside tree, snapping the trunk clean in half. The car rolled once more before grinding to a halt. A massive indentation crumpled its side panel, every window shattered, its doors twisted and warped beyond repair. The car was totaled. Chen Lu stood frozen, mouth hanging agape. When Wantong's hand, halfway to pushing up her glasses, froze mid-air. Even the normally unflappable Su Qingli's pupils constricted slightly. This is a real car. Senior, you wrecked it with one shot. Chen Lu finally found her voice. Lin Mu glanced at his palms, then at the mangled wreckage in the distance, and fell silent for 2 seconds. It's stronger than I anticipated. Stronger than you thought? That's not just strong. That's completely overpowered. What even are your hands made of to unleash that kind of firepower? Chen Lu rushed over to Lin Mu, grabbing his palm and turning it over to examine it closely. It's the skill that's powerful, not my hands. Lin Mu pulled his hand back and flexed his fingers. That single cannon blast had nearly drained all his mental power in one go. It cost a lot to cast. With my current mental power, one shot empties me completely, he said honestly. but its firepower is undeniably impressive. Su Qingli stepped forward, tearing her eyes away from the overturned car. If we'd had this skill when we fought the zombie lord earlier, one shot would have finished it off. Still, better late than never. The upcoming stations will only grow more dangerous. Having this ace up our sleeves drastically boosts our survival odds. When Wantong agreed. Mental power can keep growing too. You're sitting at 26 mental power right now. Once your stat rises higher, this skill's cost won't feel like such a burden. Su Qingli analyzed. We still have 8 leftover air arrow skill cards. Not enough to level up Senior's air cannon. What should we do with them? Chen-Lu suddenly remembered. We do need to discuss that, but not right now. The train departs in an hour. The trip takes roughly 30 minutes, so leaving a 30-minute buffer is wise. If we hit an emergency and run out of time, we'll be stranded here permanently, and that's the last thing we want, when Wantong explained. The words, stranded permanently, carried heavy weight. Even Chen-Lu's expression turned serious. Let's hurry then. I don't want to be stuck in this zombie-infested dump. The four turned and headed back the way they'd come toward the park train. Su Qingli walked at the front, activating her wind listener skill every few steps to sense all movement within 100 meters. Lin Mu brought up the rear, gripping an iron rod as his eyes scanned the streets and alleyways on either side. When Wantong and Chen-Lu walked in the middle, their return trip proceeded at a leisurely pace, the atmosphere far lighter than it had been on the way over. After walking a short distance, Chen-Lu suddenly halted and spun around sharply, her twin ponytails arcing through the air. Wait a second. Senior, you haven't crit the experience points from killing the zombie lord yet, have you? She stared wide-eyed at Lin Mu. Lin Mu blinked and pulled up his status panel. Sure enough, the kill notification lingered there, marked unsettled experience points, with a blinking selection box beside it. Killed D rank elite. Zombie lord experience gained, 100 unsettled. Option to trigger critical hit. Select no to settle immediately. I completely forgot. Lin Mu scratched the back of his head. How could you forget something that important? Chen-Lu stared at him in disbelief. I was too busy looting the treasure chest just now, Lin Mu admitted truthfully. When Wantong shook her head, then naturally stepped beside Lin Mu and held out her hand, her pale palm hovering open in the air. She'd done this countless times, the movement as smooth as second nature. Come on, settle the experience before we reach the train, when Wantong said. Lin Mu took her hand and focused his attention on the panel. Settle experience points? Yes/no. He selected yes. Critical hit triggered. Current bond target in contact. When Wantong, favorability. 42 random critical multiplier this time. 8x base experience. 100 experience after critical hit. 800. Player level up. LV.8, LV.9 level up reward. All stats plus 2 current level. LV.9 strength. 59 agility. 24 constitution. 25 mental power. 28. You hit level 9. All your stats went up another 2 points. Senior, you're barely even human anymore. Chen-Lu shook her head and sighed in awe. Is that supposed to be a compliment or an insult? Lin Mu raised an eyebrow. It's a compliment. I'm saying you're way stronger than ordinary humans. Chen-Lu huffed indignantly. Watching their banter, a soft smile crept onto Wantong's face. Then she seemed to recall something and spoke up. Lin Mu, there's something I need to talk to you about. What is it? When Wantong hesitated, choosing her words carefully before speaking. After my favorability with you broke past 40, I unlocked some kind of new feature. Back on the second floor of the general store, I spotted a new notification on my panel, but I was too flustered to read it closely and forgot to mention it afterward. What did you unlock? Lin Mu asked, surprised. There should be a matching notification on your system panel. Check it. Lin Mu immediately pulled up his system log. He'd brushed past most system alerts while caught up in combat and skill upgrades. But scrolling backward through the messages quickly brought up the line when Wantong had mentioned. Bond target, when Wantong, favorability exceeds 40. New bond effect unlocked. Critical hit gift. Critical hit gift. Once per day, grant this bond target a random critical hit chance, allowing them to trigger one random critical hit on any of their own actions. Lin Mu pulled the notification up for the others to see. The three girls leaned in, for heads clustered together for a comical sight. Critical hit gift? Does that mean Teacher One can land critical hits too? But what's the point? If we find treasure chests that need critting, Senior can just handle them himself. Chen-Lu frowned, confused. No, you're forgetting there are other things besides treasure chests that can trigger critical hits, stat cards, experience points. Those only apply to the person who gains them. Su Qingli's eyes glinted with realization. Stat cards? Experience points? So if we get stat cards now, Teacher One can crit her own stat points. Chen-Lu caught on instantly. It would seem so. The problem is where we'll get more stat cards. Those don't look easy to come by. When Wantong shook her head, the four pressed onward, and soon the familiar train carriages came into view. The doors stood wide open, as if waiting for their return. They boarded one after another. As soon as she stepped inside, Chen-Lu collapsed onto a wooden bench, drained of all energy. I'm exhausted. I've never walked so far in my life. You haven't walked nearly as much as I have today, Su Qingli sat down gracefully across from her, poised as if seated in an upscale restaurant rather than a ramshackle survival train. That's only because Sister Su has amazing stamina. You're a big celebrity. You must work out all the time, right? Chen Lu tilted her head to stare at her. Su Qingli neither confirmed nor denied it, only saying faintly, filming demands physical endurance. I can't keep up without training. That makes sense. What about you, senior? Aren't you worn out? You fought zombies all day, took on a boss, and fired that air cannon too. Chen Lu turned to Lin Mu. I'm fine. It took a toll on my stamina, but nothing unmanageable. Lin Mu sat on the bench opposite Chen Lu. Though he'd fought hordes of zombies all day, most foes had fallen with a single rod strike. Only the drawn-out brawl with the zombie lord had truly drained him. With each level up, all his stats rose, and his constitution now sat at 25. His recovery far outpaced ordinary people's. Let's eat something first. We have over 20 minutes until departure. We can restore our energy in that time. When Wantong pulled out a pack of compressed biscuits and several bottles of mineral water, passing them around. Chen Lu tore open the biscuit pack and took a bite, her cheeks stuffed full as she mumbled, "This isn't half bad, tastier than I thought it'd be." That's just hunger talking. Su Qingli sipped water in her usual elegant manner. Fair enough. Chen Lu took another huge mouthful, chewed, then suddenly remembered something. Oh right, what do we do with those 8 leftover skill cards? The remaining air arrows. I think we should give them to little Lu, when Wantong said without hesitation. Me? Teacher Wen, you're joking. I can't even bring myself to fight zombies. Wasting skill cards on me makes no sense. Chen Lu nearly spat out her biscuits in shock. It won't be a waste. 5 D-rank skill cards combined into 1 C-rank skill, upgrading air arrow to air gun. It's single target, but more than enough for self-defense, when Wantong spoke earnestly. But I don't need to fight zombies. Senior takes all the hits up front, Chen Lu said matter-of-factly. What if we get separated? What if Lin Mu isn't around to protect you? What if the next station's mission requires everyone to join combat? When Wantong fired off 3 what-ifs in a row, leaving Chen Lu gaping without a reply. Teacher Wen makes a good point. We can't rely on Lin Mu forever. Everyone needs a way to defend themselves. Plus, Chen Lu, you gave up the stat card you drew earlier. From a team contribution standpoint, you deserve priority compensation. Su Qingli backed when Wantong's suggestion. That single stat card crit into 35 strength points for Lin Mu, bringing massive value to our team. Now that we have spare resources, allocating them to you first is only fair, when Wantong nodded firmly. I'm tempted, but I still think you two should get them first instead of me. Chen Lu wavered, then shook her head. Why? When Wantong looked surprised. When Wantong was about to argue further when the train jolted gently. The carriage swayed, and the murky gray sky outside began sliding backward. We're moving. Chen Lu blinked and twisted to look out the window. The small town shrouded in dark clouds slowly receded. Dilapidated platforms, cracked concrete, wild weeds sprouting through every crevice, all shrinking into the distance. We really are. Su Qingli tore her gaze from the window. The train glided smoothly into a veil of black mist, the scenery outside swallowed by murky gray-black chaos until nothing could be seen. Very well, we can revisit this discussion later. We have plenty of time before the next station. There's no rush to decide right now. When Wantong sighed, setting the matter of the skill cards aside for the moment, Chen Lu heaved a relieved breath and flopped back onto the bench. Just then, the emotionless mechanical voice echoed through the carriage once more. New player tutorial completed. Congratulations to all players for finishing your first station mission successfully. Train upgrade system unlocked. Spend resources to raise your train's level and unlock more features. Public chat channel activated. Players may communicate with trains from other groups in the public channel. Wishing you all the best of luck in the multiverse train survival game. A public chat channel? Chen Lu shot upright, her eyes lighting up instantly. Does that mean we can talk to other players now? Find out what's going on aboard other trains? Theoretically, yes. Wantong pushed her glasses up, her gaze already fixed on the light screen at the front of the carriage. But with 100 million players online at once, the public channel is probably going to be flooded with an overwhelming volume of messages. Let's take a look first. Su Qingli stood and walked over to the screen. Lin Mu and Chen Lu crowded around right behind her. The interface that had previously displayed mission information had changed, with several new options now visible. On the left ran a vertical list, ordered from top to bottom. Train status, public chat channel, crafting system locked, trading forum locked. The right side showed the detailed panel for whichever function was selected, currently displaying the train status page. Train name, unnamed train level, 1 current crew, Lin Mu, Su Qingli, Wen Wantong, Chen Lu next station. Unknown announced 1 hour prior to arrival resources required for level up, 100 timber, 100 iron ingots. We need 100 timber and 100 iron ingots to hit level 2. Chen Lu counted on her fingers. How much do we have again? 295 timber and 288 iron ingots. We've got more than enough. Hold off on upgrading for now. Let's check out the other features first. Lin Mu tapped the public chat channel option on the screen. A pop-up prompt appeared on the light screen. Please name your train. The name cannot be changed after confirmation and will serve as your display name in the public channel. Train name. We have to pick a name? What should we call it? Chen-Lu tilted her head, deep in thought. Just pick something random. It's only a label. Wanwantong didn't think it was a big deal. How can we just pick randomly? We're stuck with this name forever. Chen-Lu shot back sharply, her expression dead serious. It's like naming a person. The name you choose shapes your fate for a lifetime. It's just a label. It's not that deep. Linmu shook his head. It absolutely is that deep. Chen-Lu planted her hands on her hips and began pacing back and forth across the carriage, her twin ponytails bouncing with every step. Let me think, what sounds good? Invincible, she suggested first. Too cringy edgy. Wanwantong shook her head. Survivor. Too gloomy. For once, Su Qingli sided with Wanwantong. How about hope? Far too generic. 80 million out of 100 million players are probably going to pick that name. Linmu couldn't help chiming in. Chen-Lu pouted and resumed circling the carriage. After 3 or 4 loops, she suddenly froze, spinning sharply so her twin ponytails whipped through the air in a dramatic arc. I've got it. What? The other 3 turned their eyes to her at once. Harem Express. Silence hung heavy in the carriage for a full 3 seconds. When Wantong's features went rigid, the tips of her ears flushing bright red in plain sight. Su Qingli barely reacted, merely lifting one eyebrow as if mulling the name over. Lin Mu's mouth twitched, and he drew a deep breath. No way. Why not? I think it's perfect. Chen-Lu blinked innocently. Look, Senior Lin, you're the only guy on this train, and the rest of us are all girls. It's literally a harem. The name's straightforward and fun. What's wrong with it? Everything's wrong with it. When Wantong found her voice at last, struggling to maintain her poised teacher's demeanor, though the faint tremor in her tone gave her away. We can't use that name. Teacher One, you hate it too? Chen-Lu's shoulders drooped in disappointment. Of course I do. It's far too inappropriate. When Wantong pushed her glasses up several times before finishing the sentence, the carriage fell quiet again. Then an unexpected voice cut through the silence. I actually think it's not half bad. All 3 pairs of eyes swiveled towards Su Qingli. She sat on the bench with her long legs crossed, one elbow propped up to cradle her chin, her usual cool, unruffled expression intact. It's simple, easy to understand, and highly distinctive. Other players will remember a name like this instantly in the public channel. Su Qingli explained her reasoning. Sister Su, are you being serious? Chen-Lu's eyes went wide. I am. Su Qingli gave a slight nod. I'm against it, no 2 ways about it. Linmu shook his head firmly. That's 2-4, 2 against. What do we do now? Chen-Lu glanced between Su Qingli, Wanwantong, then Linmu. Let's brainstorm other options. Wanwantong quickly steered the conversation back. Fine, fine. Chen-Lu sighed, tugging at her twin ponytails, when a sudden idea struck her. How about family carriage? Family carriage? Wanwantong blinked in surprise. Yeah, family carriage. The more Chen-Lu thought about it, the better it sounded, and she rambled excitedly. It's basically the same vibe as Harem Express, but way less embarrassing to say out loud. Besides, the 4 of us really are like a family now, surviving together, fighting zombies side by side. It fits that whole big family feel perfectly. When Wantong opened her mouth, ready to argue that the 2 names were nothing alike, yet couldn't find a single counterpoint, she could only glance over at Su Qingli for backup. It's passable. Su Qingli offered a non-committal verdict. Then we'll go with this one. Chen-Lu's eyes sparkled eagerly. When Wantong fell silent for 2 full seconds before letting out a long sigh. Very well, this one I can accept. What about you, Senior Lin? What do you think? Chen-Lu immediately turned to Linmu. Linmu thought it over and agreed it was vastly better than Harem Express. At the very least, to outsiders, it sounded like an ordinary train name that wouldn't spark odd assumptions. All right, this one works. Yay! Chen-Lu cheered, darting over to the light screen. She raised her hand and carefully typed 3 characters into the input box. Family carriage. Train naming successful. Current train name, family carriage. Public chat channel unlocked. Current region, Zone 67. Note, all 100 million global players are split evenly across 100 regional zones, with 1 million players per zone. This train belongs to Zone 67. Anyone alive out there? Hello? Any survivors? Yeah. 5 of us on this train, all still breathing. What about your crew? 7 started on ours, 2 died, only 5 left. Just 3 of us. Our station was an abandoned factory. The mission was to kill 5 mutant rats. We barely scraped by. One of us almost died. Does anyone on your train have abilities? One of our crew rolled a grade C healing skill, saved our skins multiple times. Grade C healing? That's insane. The best we've got is a grade C passive stat boost. Just a few extra constitution points. Totally useless. Any players from Yunzhou here? Everyone on our train's from Yunzhou. Let's add each other as contacts for later. We can mess around with the chat later. Let's upgrade the train first. Linmu pulled his gaze away from the scrolling chat and pulled up the train status panel. Right. Upgrade time. Chen-Lu's attention instantly shifted. Linmu tapped the level up button. A pop-up prompt instantly appeared on the screen. Train upgrades can trigger critical resource reduction multipliers. Proceed with critical roll? Yes/no. A beat of silence filled the carriage. This can get a critical multiplier too. Chen Lu yelped, raising her voice an octave. Let's try it, Su Qingli said succinctly. Without needing to be told, when Wantong stepped beside Lin Mu and held out her hand. She'd done this countless times that day. The motion had become second nature. Lin Mu took her hand, skin meeting skin, and selected yes. Bond partner in contact. When Wantong, favorability. 42 critical multiplier rolled. 10x random original upgrade cost. 100 timber, 100 iron ingots cost after critical reduction. 10 timber, 10 iron ingots train level up in progress. Upgrade complete. Current train level, LV.2. 10 times reduction. We only needed a tenth of the original resources. Chen Lu gawked at the numbers on the screen. That's such a steal. We only burned 10 timber and 10 iron ingots. We still have 285 timber and 278 iron left. A 10x multiplier isn't the highest possible, but it's far from bad. Su Qingli glanced at the resource tally. If we'd rolled a 42x multiplier, the cost would have dropped even lower. It's still more than enough. We only spent a tenth of what we needed anyway. Chen Lu waved a hand dismissively. Hurry up and check what new features we unlocked after leveling up. Lin Mu navigated back to the main menu. The previously grayed out locked options for crafting system and trading forum had lit up, now fully accessible. Crafting system unlocked. Spend resources to craft various items. Trading forum unlocked. Resource trades available between all level 2 and higher trains. Lin Mu opened the crafting system, and a full list unfurled across the screen. Item icons lined up neatly, each labeled with required crafting materials. Iron axe. Required materials. 1 timber, 1 iron ingot. Iron pickaxe. Required materials. 1 timber, 1 iron ingot. Machete. Required materials. 1 timber, 2 iron ingots. Restroom. 50 timber, 50 iron ingots. Provides basic sanitation facilities. The toilet features vacuum self-cleaning and consumes 0 water. Bathroom. 80 timber, 80 iron ingots. Provides basic bathing fixtures. Automatically generates 10 liters of clean water daily. The carriage fell silent for a heartbeat. Then Chen Lu erupted with excitement. A restroom. A bathroom. I want both. I want both. I want both. She threw herself against the screen, jabbing her finger at the 2 options, utterly ecstatic as if staring at priceless treasure. Senior Lin, look. We've got a toilet and shower room now. We can finally bathe. Before Lin Mu could reply, he noticed when Wantong and Su Qingli hadn't said a word, but both of their gazes were fixed firmly on those 2 lines of text. Lin Mu had to agree, these were non-negotiable builds. They could make do with makeshift sleeping quarters, but restrooms and showers were essential to basic human dignity. He couldn't stand going another day without them. Build the restroom first. Lin Mu made the call at once, turning toward Wen Wantong. Before he could even speak, she already held out her hand. The gesture was so practiced it was almost heartbreaking, yet faintly amusing too. Lin Mu grasped her hand and selected the restroom on the crafting menu. Crafting, 1 restroom. Favorability, critical multiplier triggered. Bond partner in contact. Wen Wantong, favorability, 42. Critical multiplier rolled, 25x. Original cost, 50 timber, 50 iron ingots. Actual cost consumed, 2 timber, 2 iron ingots. Construction in progress. In the far rear corner of the train, space warped and twisted. Unidentifiable building materials materialized out of thin air, slotting and assembling themselves together. In barely a dozen seconds, a small 2-square-meter compartment stood at the back of the carriage. A simple latch lock sat on the door, with the word restroom printed beside it. A toilet. There's actually a toilet. And toilet paper. Oh my god, there's even toilet paper. Chen Lu sprinted inside the restroom, shouting with unrestrained joy. Her voice echoed through the tiny cubicle, brimming with barely contained elation. All right, come out for a minute. Let Lin Mu build the bathroom next. When Wantong pulled her back from the doorway. Right. Bathroom time. Chen Lu's eyes lit up even brighter. Crafting, 1 bathroom. Favorability, critical multiplier triggered. Bond partner in contact. When Wantong, favorability, 42. Critical multiplier rolled, 8x. Original cost, 80 timber, 80 iron ingots. Actual cost consumed, 10 timber, 10 iron ingots. Construction in progress. Why is the bathroom so much more expensive than the restroom? The toilet only needed 50 materials, but the shower room costs 80. They're both basic facilities. There's such a huge gap. Chen Lu frowned in confusion. It all comes down to water. The bathroom produces 10 liters of fresh water every day. It's barely enough for a quick rinse, but in an emergency, that 10 liters could save lives if you drink it instead of washing. When Wantong explained seriously. On the opposite rear side of the carriage, construction materials materialized once more. In the blink of an eye, a second cubicle took shape, roughly the same size as the restroom, with bathroom marked on its door. Chen Lu dashed forward again, yanking the door open to peek inside. A shower head. There's a shower. The water pressure doesn't look great, but it's enough to wash up. She spun back to Wen Wantong and Su Qingli, her eyes sparkling like stars. Teacher 1. Sister Su. We can finally take showers. Wen Wantong smiled deepened noticeably. Su Qingli wore no obvious expression, but the speed with which she stood and walked toward the bathroom spoke volumes. I'll go first. Su Qingli stood at the bathroom door, her tone calm, yet her resolve clear. Huh? Why do you get to go first? I was the one who brought it up. Chen Lu pouted unhappily, but Su Qingli had already slipped past her and stepped inside, leaving Chen Lu to wait in line. Ever since waking up aboard the train, Su Qingli had maintained a detached, placid demeanor. No one expected her to rush to claim something first, especially a shower. While the girls crowded by the bathroom door, Linmu reopened the crafting system and scanned the list, stopping at the clothing option. Basic garments. 2 cloth note. No stat bonuses, purely wearable apparel. Duplicate existing outfit. 3 cloth note. No stat bonuses, purely wearable apparel. That's right, none of us have spare changes of clothes. When Wantong walked over beside Linmu, spotting the clothing crafting options too. What does duplicate existing outfit mean? Chen Lu leaned in, blinking curiously. It probably copies the clothes we're wearing right now. Linmu stroked his chin, guessing. Senior Lin, I want that one, not the basic ones. Chen Lu immediately fixed him with a pleading look. Even if the duplicates were identical to her current outfit, wearing matching clothes was far better than the plain, ugly basic garments shown on screen. She was quite fond of her current JK skirt uniform. Sure, we've got plenty of cloth to spare, Linmu readily agreed. We can craft basic garments too. They'll work as pajamas or trade goods, Wen Wantong added. After all, the trading forum was now unlocked. Linmu nodded and took Wen Wantong's hand once more. Crafting, 1 set of basic garments. Favorability, critical multiplier triggered. Bond partner in contact. Wen Wantong, favorability, 42. Critical multiplier rolled, 30x. Original output, 1 garment set. Actual output, 30 garment sets. Cloth consumed, 2. 30 identical sets of basic clothing materialized, stacked neatly beside them. Linmu walked over and picked one up to examine it. Plain off white cotton tops and trousers. An extremely simple design with no patterns, decorations, or even pockets. Still, the fabric felt soft enough. They'd be comfortable to wear. Next, he crafted 3 more clothing sets, each set to duplicate the outfits worn by Su Qingli, Wen Wantong, and Chen Lu respectively. The critical multipliers rolled 15x, 20x, and 17x in turn. He gained 15 sets of ancient-style robes, 20 sets of pencil skirts paired with white blouses, and 17 JK pleated skirt uniforms. Total cloth spent, 9 units. Chen Lu cheered and gathered up all 17 identical skirt sets. Now she had endless changes to cycle through. Naturally, she hoped to find new different styles someday if possible. As for Linmu himself, he didn't craft duplicates of his own clothes. His current t-shirt and trousers looked nearly identical to the basic garments, and the fabric felt even cheaper quality. He decided he'd stick with the basic sets for himself. Linmu then crafted bath towels. Cost, 1 cloth. Critical multiplier rolled 20x. 20 towels appeared just as the bathroom door swung open. Su Qingli stepped out, her hair half damp and loose over her shoulders. Steam curled out behind her, framing her flawless, delicate features like a figure straight out of a painting. Chen Lu stared, utterly stunned. What are you staring at? Su Qingli noticed their gazes. Sister Su, you look absolutely gorgeous. Chen Lu exclaimed sincerely. Su Qingli ignored the compliment, her eyes landing on the pile of towels and clothing. Towels? And new clothes. I just crafted them, duplicates of your original outfit. The towels are here too. Dry off, or you'll catch a cold. Linmu gestured toward the stack. Su Qingli shot him a quick glance without a word, walked over to grab 1 set of her traditional robes and a towel, then turned and headed back into the bathroom. This time she shut the door far faster than before. She's embarrassed. Chen Lu covered her mouth and snickered quietly. Don't talk nonsense. Wen Wantong gave her a light tap. A little while later, Su Qingli emerged after changing into fresh clothes. My turn. I'm going first. Chen Lu grabbed a set of clothes and bolted for the bathroom. No one's fighting you for it. Wen Wantong shook her head and chuckled. The bathroom door clicked shut. The sound of running shower water followed, mixed with faint humming. She's actually pretty good, Linmu listened in. You forgot. She sang at the freshman welcome gala. Wen Wantong smiled. Su Qingli sat down on the bench, rubbing her hair dry with a bath towel. Her gaze drifted to the glowing screen as she quietly scanned the crafting system list. Can't we craft beds yet? Su Qingli asked. Beds in private rooms are locked. We'll need to upgrade the train to level 3 first suicide, Linmu replied. Level 3 train requires 1,000 timber and 1,000 iron ingots. Su Qingli pulled up the list of upgrade materials and read it aloud. Exactly. We're still far short, so we'll have to make do for now, Linmu nodded. We can craft carpets, Su Qingli suddenly said. Linmu blinked and followed her line of sight to the screen. Carpet requires 5 cloth. Note, can be laid on floors to boost comfort. All right. None of us have beds. We'd have to sleep on cold metal floors tonight. Carpets will make it way cozier. Chun Lu's voice echoed from the bathroom, muffled by the running water. How can you even hear us all the way in there? Lin Mu raised his voice slightly. I've got sharp ears. Lin Mu shrugged helplessly and pulled up the carpet crafting interface. Craft, ×1 carpet favor critical hit triggered current bond target in contact. When Wantong, favor value, 42. Critical hit multiplier this time. ×8 base output. ×1 carpet actual output. ×8 carpets cloth consumed. 5/8 dark gray carpets materialized on the train floor. Lin Mu bent down to touch them. They were thick and wonderfully soft to the touch. This should be enough. He nodded in satisfaction and spread the carpets between the benches lining both sides of the carriage. The train's original cold metal flooring was completely covered, instantly making the whole compartment feel far warmer and homelier. Senior, you're amazing. Chun Lu burst out of the bathroom, her hair still dripping but dressed in clean clothes. The second she spotted the carpets, she threw herself onto them and rolled back and forth twice, sending water droplets flying everywhere from her wet locks. So soft and comfy. I'm sleeping right here tonight. At least dry your hair first. You've gotten water all over the carpet. When Wantong sighed, picking up the towel Chun Lu had tossed aside and handing it back to her. Chun Lu took it and rubbed her hair haphazardly, then rolled across the carpet again with a blissful expression. Living here isn't half bad after all. We've got food, water, hot showers, and now soft carpets to sleep on. This survival game's way better than I imagined it'd be. That's all thanks to Lin Mu, Su Qingli said flatly. A brief silence fell over the carriage. Chun Lu sat up from the carpet, glanced at Su Qingli, then at Lin Mu, and nodded firmly. Absolutely. Senior's our train's SSR. No, he's the SSR gotcha pool itself. Wait, no, he's an SSR gotcha machine. What a weird way to put it. Lin Mu laughed at her antics. When Wantong shook her head with a smile and turned to Su Qingli. You've had a long day too, Miss Su. Go rest first. I'll take my shower next. All right, Su Qingli nodded. When Wantong grabbed her clothes and towel and stepped into the bathroom, the door closed, and the shower turned on once more. This time, there was no humming, only quiet running water. Professor went so quiet in the shower. Chun Lu lay sprawled on the carpet, staring up at the carriage ceiling. Not all of us are as loud as you. Su Qingli leaned back against the bench with her eyes closed. What's wrong with me? I'm just lively. I love life. Chun Lu sat up indignantly. You're noisy. Chun Lu pouted, but seeing how worn out Su Qingli looked, she held back any retort. She lay back down quietly, glanced around the carriage, and finally fixed her gaze on Lin Mu. Senior, what do you think will happen to us later? Lin Mu sat down on a bench, leaning his back against the carriage wall. I don't know. We'll take it one station at a time. You'll keep protecting us, right? Chun Lu's voice was soft, nothing like her usual boisterous self. Lin Mu glanced over at her. The girl lay on the gray carpet, her skin looking even paler against the fabric. Damp hair fanned beside her face, her big watery eyes fixed unblinkingly on him. I'll do everything I can, Lin Mu said. That's all I need to hear. Chun Lu smiled, her eyes crinkling. Su Qingli leaned back on the bench with her eyes shut, her breathing slow and steady as if she'd drifted off to sleep. Yet a faint, tiny smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. When Wantong finished showering and stepped out, the carriage had fallen completely silent. Chun Lu curled up on the carpet, breathing evenly. She'd somehow fallen fast asleep. Su Qingli rested against the bench with her head tilted slightly to one side, dozing lightly. Everyone's asleep? When Wantong lowered her voice and sat down beside Lin Mu. Yeah, we're all worn out today, Lin Mu replied quietly, watching the two sleeping girls. When Wantong followed his gaze, Chun Lu slept messily, limbs splayed, mouth slightly agape with soft little snores escaping. Su Qingli, by contrast, remained poised even in light slumber, as if posing for a photo shoot. You should rest too. I'll keep watch, when Wantong offered. No need. I'm not tired, and the train's perfectly safe inside. There's no need for a guard shift. You get as much rest as you can. We've got a new station tomorrow. Lin Mu shook his head. When Wantong looked at him and didn't push the matter. Then you go shower first. It'll make you feel refreshed. Lin Mu thought for a moment and nodded. He grabbed a basic set of clothes and a towel and headed into the bathroom. Limited to just 10 liters of water, he washed quickly, only long enough to rinse the grime off his body before stepping back out. Changing into clean clothes lifted a huge weight off his shoulders, leaving him feeling light and revitalized. Professor 1, you go sleep now. Lin Mu returned to the glowing screen at the front of the carriage and sat cross-legged on the carpet. What about you? When Wantong asked. I'm going to study the system some more. Lin Mu nodded toward the screen before him. I can't sleep either. I'll stay with you. When Wantong moved over to join him, she was curious about all the newly unlocked train functions too. The two huddled together by the screen and pulled up the train status panel first. Train name, family carriage train level, 2 current passengers, Lin Mu, Su Qingli. When Wantong, Chun Lu next station. Unknown announced 1 hour before arrival materials required for level up, ×1000 timber, ×1000 iron ingots. 1,000 each, when Wantong murmured softly. They currently had 273 timber and 266 iron ingots left. Crafting the restroom, shower room, clothing, and carpets earlier had cost a total of 22 timber, 22 iron ingots, and 16 cloth. But the rewards had been well worth the investment. We're still far short. Hopefully the next station will let us gather enough. Lin Mu took a deep breath. Afterwards, they browsed the trade forum, specifically, the Zone 67 trade forum. There were far fewer posts than Lin Mu had expected. After refreshing repeatedly, only a few dozen new threads appeared. According to the pinned announcement at the top, merely 137 trains across the entire Zone 67 had access to the forum. Only Level 2 trains can use the trade forum. That means just 137 trains in Zone 67 have upgraded to Level 2 so far, when Wantong analyzed. There are 1 million people pulled into the game. Even if each train holds 5 people, that's 200,000 trains total. Only 137 of them hit Level 2. Lin Mu was shocked by how tiny that proportion was. Exactly. Everything feels easy for us solely because of you. Su Qingli spoke up, having woken from her light nap at some point. Ordinary players can only get materials by looting monsters they kill. Even if they slay 10 monsters at a station and each drops 2 resources, collecting 100 timber and 100 iron ingots would take 5 to 10 stations minimum. When Wantong pushed up her glasses and explained. And that's assuming future stations don't get harder. They definitely will, though monster drops might increase, but the danger will multiply alongside it. We gathered over 200 of each resource in just one station. Even I find that hard to believe, Lin Mu said. Let's see what everyone's selling on the forum. Su Qingli tapped the glowing screen a few times. The forum interface refreshed, rows of posts scrolling into view. Selling. Times 10 timber, trading 4 times 5 mineral water or other food supplies selling. Times 15 iron ingots, trading 4 times 10 cloth. Wanted, any food. Will trade timber or iron ingots selling. Times 2 kin food, trading for melee weapons. Machetes preferred, anyone got spare cloth? Our train doesn't even have change of clothes. Waiting online urgently. Lin Mu read through each thread, noticing all the listings only covered basic survival supplies, with food extremely scarce. It's all just basic resource swaps. Food's in short supply everywhere. That's normal. Not everyone mows down zombies as easily as you harvest chives. Su Qingli shot him a calm glance. When Wantong stifled a laugh quickly. Should we post a trade thread too? We've got plenty of supplies, over 200 timber and iron ingots each, plus a good stock of cloth. When Wantong pondered aloud. What would we trade for? Lin Mu asked. When Wantong thought hard and couldn't come up with an answer right away. Food. They had plenty of energy biscuits and canned goods to last a good while. Water? They stocked lots of mineral water, and the new shower room generates 10 liters of usable water daily for emergencies. Weapons. Lin Mu's simple iron rod, boosted by his immense strength, hit harder than any standard melee blade. They also held enough iron to forge iron axes and machetes anytime via the train crafting system. Not to mention his ace in the hole, the air cannon. It seems, we really don't lack anything, when Wantong said faintly. They'd been trapped in this survival game for less than a full day, yet they'd already reached a point where they couldn't name a single shortage. It sounded almost unbelievable. We'll just browse for now. No rush to post anything. Lin Mu continued scrolling through the posts. Just then, a drowsy voice drifted over from behind them. What are you all doing? The three turned to see Chun Lu sitting up on the carpet, hair a messy tangle with red indentations pressed into her cheeks from the fabric. She rubbed her eyes, yawned widely, and stumbled over like a sleepy kitten. Little Lu, you're awake? Why didn't you sleep longer? When Wantong shifted aside to make space for her. I couldn't fall back asleep. What are you looking at? Chen Lu squeezed herself between Lin Mu and Wen Wantong and plopped down cross-legged. She rested her head naturally on Lin Mu's shoulder, adding a mumbled explanation. I'm cold. Lin Mu didn't pull away, letting her lean against him. This is the trade forum. Trading? Did we swap for anything good? Chen Lu snuggled further into his shoulder to get more comfortable. Not yet. We can't think of anything we need. When Wantong smiled at her sleepy state. Chen Lu stared at the forum posts for another minute before suddenly sitting bolt upright as an idea struck her. Wait a second. Her voice still carried the huskiness of sleep, but excitement flooded her tone. Stat cards. Can we trade for stat cards here? All three turned their full attention to her. Chen Lu's eyes lit up completely, all traces of drowsiness vanishing. Think about it. The single stat card I pulled turned into 35 strength points after your critical hit. If we can get more stat cards, senior stats could skyrocket even further. Silence hung over the carriage for a beat. When Wantong's eyes lit up with realization. That's a solid plan. Su Qingli sat straighter, her tone earnest. Stat cards are the most direct way to boost combat power. If Lin Mu gets a few more, breaking 100 strength is well within reach. When Wantong pushed up her glasses, her mind racing to calculate possibilities. We should prioritize spirit. Don't forget the air cannon. Su Qingli reminded them. Right, exactly. Chen Lu beamed, thrilled her idea had been well received. She sat cross-legged on the carpet and retied her loose wet hair back into twin ponytails. But trading regular basic materials for stat cards will be incredibly difficult. When Wonton's smile faded. Why? Chen-Lu blinked in confusion. Stat cards are rare drops. Their spawn rate must be extremely low. Anyone who pulls one will use it on themselves instead of trading it away. Even if someone's willing to sell, they won't settle for simple timber or iron ingots. When Wonton broke down the logic. Then what do? We finally found a way to make seniors stronger, but we can't trade for them. Chen-Lu's shoulders slumped in disappointment. Professor Wen's right. Stat cards won't come cheap with basic resources. But what if we trade another rare resource instead? Su Qingli cut in. All heads turned toward her. Skill cards. We still have 8D rank air arrow skill cards. Su Qingli looked at Lin Mu and clarified her meaning. Lin Mu paused, then caught on immediately. You mean trade skill cards for stat cards? Precisely. D rank skill cards aren't high tier, but they're still rare loot, normally only dropped by zombie lords. They only feel common to us because your critical hit talent multiplies every drop. Su Qingli nodded. D rank skill cards are somewhat useless for us right now. When Wonton agreed. 8 of them aren't enough to upgrade the air cannon. We could fuse them into 1 C rank air rifle, but trading them for combat boosting items would be more valuable. Su Qingli elaborated. Stat cards are our top pick, but if we can't get those, any other useful skill cards work too. Defensive skills, support skills, healing skills would be ideal. When Wonton picked up the thread. Yeah, what if we get a skill even stronger than the air cannon? Chen-Lu cheered excitedly. Trading D rank cards for something stronger than a B rank skill? Don't get carried away. Su Qingli shot her an exasperated glance. I can dream, can't I? Chen-Lu stuck out her tongue. Lin Mu stayed quiet, rapidly weighing all possibilities in his head. 8D rank skill cards were a decent stock, valuable if traded wisely, but the key questions remained. What to ask for, and who would be willing to trade? Shall we post a thread and test the waters? He looked over at the girls. Post it. Chen-Lu shot her hand up first in agreement. We can try, but don't hold out too much hope. Stat cards are hard to come by. When Wonton remained cautious. Put the thread up first to gauge responses. We can adjust our offer later if needed. Su Qingli seconded the idea. I'll handle this. Su Qingli stepped forward to stand in front of the light screen and spoke. Lin Mu shot her a glance of surprise. This A-list celebrity had acted completely detached ever since boarding the train, and this was the first time she'd volunteered to take charge of something. Are you interested in trading? Lin Mu asked curiously. Not really, but I have 100 million followers across all social platforms. I've got far more experience posting content than the rest of you. Su Qingli's tone was flat, as if stating the most ordinary fact in the world. Chen-Lu's mouth fell open into an O shape. 100 million followers. She'd nearly forgotten the woman beside her was a genuine top-tier superstar. All right, you take over. Lin Mu stepped aside to make room for her. Su Qingli raised her hands and tapped rapidly on the virtual keyboard, her movements smooth and fluid. For sale, D-rank skill card, air arrow ×1 wanted. 3 attribute cards, or equivalent skill cards healing and defense types preferred message me privately if interested. No time wasters. 3 attribute cards for a single D-rank skill card? Sister Su, that's asking for way too much. Chen-Lu's eyes went wide. I know. Su Qingli replied without turning her head. Then why write it like that? Chen-Lu looked confused. When doing business, you always leave room for haggling. Start with a high asking price, wait for the other party to counteroffer, and settle somewhere in the middle. It's basic negotiation strategy. Su Qingli spoke as if this was common sense. Chen-Lu stared blankly, then turned to Wan Wantong. Teacher Wan, is Sister Su right? I don't know much about business, but Miss Su's logic does align with fundamental negotiation tactics. Wan Wantong nodded, the corners of her mouth lifting faintly. Okay then. Chen-Lu nodded in agreement. The post went live and pinned itself to the very top of the trading forum. The 4 of them stared at the screen for several minutes, refreshing it repeatedly. The view count climbed from 0 to 23, yet not a single comment appeared. Did we really set the price too high? Chen-Lu sounded a little unsure of herself. Just wait a bit longer. Lin Mu leaned back against the bench, his voice calm. A few more minutes passed before the first comment finally popped up. D-rank skill card? That's a great find. But 3 attribute cards is way too steep. 1 for 1 would be reasonable. Several more replies rolled in right after. Air arrow. What exactly does it do? Shoot arrows made of air. Where'd the poster get a skill card? We cleared the first station and didn't even catch a glimpse of one. Would you take lumber in exchange? I've got 30 pieces. Su Qingli ignored every single comment, simply refreshing the page quietly. Though dozens of people replied, almost everyone asked to trade basic materials. Not a single person actually owned attribute cards or spare skill cards. This backed up Wan Wantong's earlier assessment. Attribute and skill cards were extremely scarce resources. Even among the 137 top-ranked trains in District 67, they were not something anyone could easily pull out. Time ticked by second by second. More and more comments piled under the post, mostly onlookers just browsing. The few genuine buyers only offered basic supplies as payment. I've got 20 iron chunks. Will you swap? 30 lumber plus 10 cans. That's everything I own. Please, poster. Our train badly needs a skill card. Is the poster a scammer? Does anyone actually sell D-rank skill cards? Su Qingli did not reply to any of them. Chen-Lu was about to flop back onto the carpet and go to sleep, thinking nothing would come of it that night, when a private message alert suddenly flashed across the screen. You have received a new private message. Su Qingli's fingers paused for a split second before opening the message. The sender was a player named Zhao Cheng, whose train was listed as Northland Express. The message was short and to the point. I have an attribute card, only one though. Will you trade? The air inside the carriage seemed to freeze for a heartbeat. Chen-Lu darted over first, pressing her face nearly against the light screen. One. He says he has one. Chen-Lu repeated excitedly. Only one. What do you think? Wan Wantong frowned and turned to Su Qingli for her opinion. What's your take? Su Qingli instead looked over at Linmu. Linmu reread the private message carefully. They'd asked for 3, yet the other party only had 1. The gap was quite large. But attribute cards were rare treasures that couldn't be sought out on demand. If they let this one slip away, they had no idea when they'd find another. What's more, it was hard to say which resource held greater value, a D-rank skill card or an attribute card. For ordinary players, a D-rank skill card unlocked an extra offensive ability. Even if its power was limited, it visibly boosted combat strength. An attribute card, by contrast, only added a single point to a base stat, a barely noticeable improvement. From that perspective, the D-rank skill card ought to be more valuable. For Lin Mu, however, the equation flipped entirely. He possessed the SSS tier talent favorability critical strike. With a critical trigger, one attribute card's single stat point multiplied into dozens. The disparity was exponential. We trade. Lin Mu spoke without the slightest hesitation. Senior, don't you want to think it over? He only has 1, but we set our price at 3. Chen-Lu hesitated. No need to hesitate. In anyone else's hands, one attribute card only gives 1 stat point. With us, it'll grant dozens. There's no way this deal loses us anything. Lin Mu shook his head. Lin Mu is right, and we still have 7 more skill cards to spare. This is a worthwhile trade no matter how you look at it. Wan Wantong nodded in agreement. Then we'll make the swap. Seeing both of them agreed, Su Qingli tapped a few commands on the screen and sent a reply to Zhao Cheng. Deal. Moments later, a trade link arrived from the other side. Item exchange offered by Northland Express. Attribute card ×1 offered by Clan Express. D-rank skill card Air Arrow ×1 confirm trade. Su Qingli tapped confirm. The D-rank Air Arrow skill card vanished from the screen, and an attribute card materialized in its place. Trade successful. Obtained. Attribute card ×1. We got it. We really traded for an attribute card. Chen-Lu cheered. She'd been doubtful earlier about a 1-for-1 swap, but elation washed over her now that they held the card. Lin Mu took the card into his hand. The familiar texture beneath his fingertips confirmed it was the same type of attribute card he'd used before. Surprisingly fast, the second and third trades followed close behind. One came from a train called Thornbird Express, the other Iron Fist Express. Each of them also only held a single attribute card apiece. Lin Mu naturally agreed to both swaps. In the end, 3 Air Arrow skill cards were exchanged for 3 attribute cards. These 3 were likely the entire stock of spare attribute cards across all 137 trains on the forum. No more private trade requests arrived afterward. They refreshed the forum several more times, yet no new messages popped up. Lin Mu clutched the 3 attribute cards in his palm, identical to the one Chen-Lu had drawn earlier. It seems there really aren't any more left. Wan Wantong let out a soft sigh and pulled her gaze away from the screen. 3 is still a solid haul. Chen-Lu sat cross-legged on the carpet, resting her chin in her palms, her twin ponytails slanting to one side as she tilted her head. Indeed, only these 137 trains have reached level 2 in District 67. Finding 3 in used attribute cards is probably the absolute limit of what's available. Su Qingli nodded. Sister Su's right. We've gotten an amazing deal. Chen-Lu grinned, staring at the cards in Lin Mu's grasp. Lin Mu said nothing. He spread the 3 attribute cards across his palm, glanced over them, then picked one out and held it out to Wan Wantong. Silence fell over the carriage for half a second. Wan Wantong stared down at the card stretched out before her, stunned for a moment, then lifted her head to meet Lin Mu's eyes, confusion written across her face. What's this for? It's for you to use. Lin Mu's tone was calm. For me? You should be the one using it. Your talent is our team's greatest asset. Boosting your stats boosts all of our combat power. Wan Wantong made no move to take it. I know. That's why I kept 2 for myself. Have you forgotten you can trigger critical strikes too now? Lin Mu cut her off. Critical gift? The new bond ability unlocked once favorability hits 40. Wan Wantong blinked, finally catching on. Exactly. Even though you only get 1 random critical chance per day, this is the perfect moment to use it. Su Qingli voiced her agreement. Wan Wantong instinctively pulled up her status panel and read the system notification. Bond effect, critical gift. Once daily, Grant this bonded target one random critical chance, letting them trigger a random critical strike during their own stat upgrades. Alright, Teacher 1 can get critical boosts from attribute cards too. Chen-Lu slapped her thigh and jumped up off the carpet. But, Wan Wantong tried to protest. Teacher 1, you told Chen-Lu earlier that everyone needs a baseline ability to protect themselves. Lin Mu spoke again, his tone earnest. Wan Wantong's words died in her throat. I can stand at the front and block most threats, but what if we have to split up? What if I can't keep an eye on all of you? What if the next station's mission requires everyone to join the fight? Lin Mu met her gaze steadily. The three what-ifs mirrored the exact reasoning Wan Wantong had used to convince Chen-Lu earlier. Wan Wantong's lips twitched, her eyes flickering with emotion. You take one, I'll keep two. As you said, raising your combat strength improves our entire team's survival odds. Otherwise, I'll be distracted worrying about the rest of you mid-battle, unable to focus. Lin Mu finished speaking. Quiet settled over the carriage once more. Chen Wan stared at Wan Wantong with a firm, encouraging look. Su Qingli said nothing, simply watching Wan Wantong silently. Both of their gazes carried the same unspoken message. After a long moment of silence, Wan Wantong finally reached out and took the attribute card. Very well, I won't make a fuss over it. Her voice was lighter than usual, yet steady. That's the spirit. You should have stopped turning it down ages ago. All that back and forth is exhausting. Chen-Lu laughed, sitting back down on the carpet and propping herself up with her hands, swinging her legs back and forth. Wan Wantong's mouth tugged upward at her teasing, shaking her head without replying. Though I'd recommend putting the point into spirit, Lin Mu added. Spirit. Wan Wantong looked confused. MHM. Lin Mu nodded and pulled the remaining 5 skill cards out of his pocket, holding them out to her. Air arrow. Wan Wantong recognized the 5 cards at a glance. We've got 5 left, enough to fuse into 1 C-rank air cannon. Lin Mu pressed the stack into her hands. Wan Wantong studied the 5 skill cards. She'd originally planned to persuade Chen-Lu to use them, and never expected they'd circle back to her own hands. Yet she understood Lin Mu's logic now. If she triggered a massive spirit stat critical strike, paired with the C-rank air cannon, the air cannon's damage scales directly with spirit. If Teacher 1 gets a huge spirit boost from the critical strike, her cannon's firepower will be incredible, maybe almost as strong as Senior's air blasts. Senior's spirit is only 28 right now, unless he also crits spirit later. It won't match the upper damage ceiling of a B-rank air blast, but as a consistent damage source, pairing a C-rank skill with high spirit will perform excellently. Su Qingli concurred. I understand. I'll use them then. Wan Wantong nodded. Since she'd already accepted the attribute card, she saw no reason to refuse the skill cards as well. As everyone had said, letting her use them was the optimal choice for their team. Wan Wantong picked up the 5 skill cards. Consume D-rank skill card, air, arrow times 5? Yes. Pale cyan light bloomed around Wan Wantong. It lacked the grand spectacle of Lin Mu's level-up glow, yet wrapped her entire figure. Once the light faded, Wan Wantong stared down at her palms. She could feel a strange new sense of command welling up inside her. It was as if the air had suddenly become tangible, moldable, compressible under her will. How is it? How does it feel? Chen-Lu leaned in impatiently. Wan Wantong did not answer right away. She waved a hand in front of her face to pull up her status panel. Name, Wan Wantong strength, 6 agility, 8 constitution, 7 spirit, 13 talent, none skill, air cannon C rank. Skill description, condense air into high-pressure air bullets, dealing piercing damage to a single target. Damage scales with spirit stat. Stack identical skills to upgrade to B rank. Current upgrade progress, January 5th. Now we just wait and see how big of a spirit critical strike this attribute card gives you. Su Qingli reminded her. Wan Wantong nodded, clutching the attribute card in her grasp before turning toward Lin Mu. Lin Mu naturally extended his hand and laced his fingers through hers. Physical contact was required for critical strikes. Even the gifted critical gift ability worked the same way. Base attribute spirit, +1. Consume daily critical gift charge to trigger favorability critical strike current critical multiplier, times 38 random spirit plus 38, Wan Wantong's body jolted faintly. An invisible force swelled inside her mind, as though something had detonated behind her forehead before swiftly reforming into a far sharper, clearer presence. The world suddenly felt entirely different. Not because the surroundings had changed, but because her perception had expanded exponentially. The faint currents swirling through the air, tiny rustles in the corners of the carriage, even Chen-Lu's slightly hurried breathing. Every tiny detail stood out crystal clear, as if a brand new filter had been fitted over her mind. How much did it go up? Tell me. Chen-Lu hurried over to ask. Wan Wantong said nothing, only pulled up her updated base stat panel for everyone to see. Name, Wan Wantong, strength, 6, agility, 8, constitution, 7, spirit, 51. Teacher 1, your spirit stat jumped straight from 13 all the way to 51. Chen-Lu raised her voice an octave, utterly flabbergasted. A 38 times multiplier, so of course it shot up by a massive amount. Su Qingli's gaze lingered on the numbers, forcing her tone to stay calm. Teacher 1, your spirit is way higher than senior brother's 28 points now. Chenlu sighed in awe. It's nearly double his, Linmu murmured, equally amazed. With 51 spirit boosting you, how powerful will your air gun be? Chenlu trailed off, yet everyone caught her meaning immediately. Wan Wantong stared down at her own hands. The newfound sense of command over the surrounding air made her eager to test it out. Go ahead and try it. Su Qingli read her unspoken thoughts and spoke up. Right now? Wan Wantong hesitated. Absolutely now, come on. Chenlu threw both hands up in eager agreement. Linmu gave a slight nod as well. Wan Wantong lifted her right hand, forming a pistol shape with her index finger and thumb. Spirit power began to gather. The air all around swirled toward her fingertip, compressing and spinning tighter and tighter. She could distinctly trace every wisp of airflow, as if an invisible hand guided it all. Air gun. She whispered the skill name silently in her mind. A visible bullet of compressed air shot forth from her finger, moving so fast its trail could barely be seen. Bang! The air projectile slammed into the inner wall of the train carriage with a dull thud. A fist-sized indentation marred the metal surface, though it had not pierced through, considering how sturdy the train's hull material was. The strike's power was nothing short of astonishing. Oh my goodness! If you hit a zombie with that shot, it'd blow a clean hole right through them. Chenlu rushed over to the wall, running a finger over the dent in wonder. Wan Wantong stared at her palms, still dazed. With 51 spirit paired with a C-rank skill, the destructive power far exceeded her expectations. Nicely done. With this skill at your disposal, you'll be a reliable asset in the stations ahead. Suicide, Su Qingli commented. Not just reliable, she's our second strongest fighter on the train now. Chenlu corrected her firmly. It's too early to say that. It's only a C-rank skill, nowhere near as potent as Lin Mu's B-rank air cannon. Wan Wantong said modestly, a little sheepish. That's different. Senior brother's air cannon hits hard, but drains all his energy in one blast. You've got 51 spirit right now. With how little AC rank skill costs, you can fire the air gun more than a dozen times in a row, right? Chenlu counted on her fingers as she spoke. Wan Wantong paused, carefully gauging the rate her spirit power depleted. Chenlu was exactly right. The air gun consumed a fraction of the energy the air cannon demanded. Little Lu's correct. Sustained firepower counts just as much as raw combat strength. Su Qingli sided with Chenlu. Linmu nodded too, pulling the 2 remaining attribute cards out of his pocket. My turn. Senior brother, won't you save these for tomorrow? My daily maximum critical rate, and teacher wands will reset then. Chenlu asked in confusion. She completely overlooked Su Qingli's own daily max critical chance. After all, Su Qingli's favorability was only 15, the lowest of the 3 women. You make a fair point, but I still think we should use them now. Linmu shook his head. Why? Using them tomorrow would get us way better returns. Chenlu looked thoroughly baffled. Tomorrow we'll arrive at a brand new station, which will bring brand new loot. I don't know exactly what we'll find there, but with our current strength, we're guaranteed to get far more valuable supplies. Suicide, Linmu stated with unwavering certainty. Linmu's logic holds true. There's no denying how strong we've grown already, so we will absolutely secure higher tier, more precious items later. I also believe we ought to save the maximum critical multiplier for tomorrow's resources. Wan Wantong chimed in to agree. Su Qingli said nothing, but her eyes made it clear she shared the same opinion. Fine, if all of you think that way. Seeing the group unanimous, Chenlu nodded reluctantly. Linmu fell silent and turned toward Wan Wantong. She had grown accustomed to this routine and naturally held out her hand. The instant their palms touched, Linmu slotted the first attribute card into the spirit stat column. Base stat spirit +1, favorability critical hit triggered, current bonded contact. Wan Wantong, favorability, 42. Critical hit multiplier this time, 30x random, spirit +30. Linmu's frame jolted faintly. An intangible surge of power flooded his mind, like something detonating deep within his brain before coalescing into sharper, clearer sensory perception, just as Wan Wantong had experienced earlier. How much did it go up? Chenlu leaned in, practically pressing her forehead against Lin Mu's status panel. Spirit, 28, 58, 58. Your spirit shot up from 28 to 58. It's even higher than teacher one's 51. Chenlu gasped aloud. Excellent. Your air cannon's destructive power should jump up another tier with this. Wan Wantong caught sight of the number and smiled in satisfaction, nodding her head. I've still got a long way to go. Linmu refocused his attention on the second attribute card. Which stat will you boost this time? Agility, Su Qingli asked. Agility, yes. Fighting the zombie overlord earlier drove home how vital speed is. If my agility were higher, I wouldn't have needed to drag out the fight. I could have finished it far more easily, Linmu affirmed. Your strength is more than sufficient now, but your agility definitely has room to improve, Wan Wantong concurred. Linmu inserted the second attribute card into the agility stat slot. Base stat agility +1, Favorability critical hit triggered, current bonded contact. 1 Wantong, favorability, 42. Critical hit multiplier this time. 20x random, agility plus 20, agility, 24-44 current base stat panel. Lin Mu, strength, 59, agility, 44, constitution, 25, spirit, 58, 44 agility. Can you run faster than a car now, senior brother? Chen Lu marveled. Not quite that fast, but I've definitely grown much swifter. Lin Mu stretched his limbs, feeling his body grow far lighter, as if an invisible heavy burden had been stripped away. 44 agility paired with 58 spirit and 59 strength. With stats like these, are you even human? Chen Lu shook her head and sighed in disbelief. You asked me that exact question before. Lin Mu shot her a glance. Did I? That just means I'm blown away by your numbers all over again. Chen Lu retorted without a hint of embarrassment. Su Qingli stared at Lin Mu's stat sheet for a long quiet moment before speaking suddenly. Your constitution is still lacking. That's true, but 25 constitution already dwarfs ordinary humans by an enormous margin. It's enough to hold me over for now. Lin Mu did not seem worried. No need to rush. This is only our first station, Wan Wantong comforted him. Indeed, we're already wildly overpowered at just the first stop. Su Qingli nodded in agreement.